Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and we are live. There is no Thursday night football. Well, we don't take any days off here. So, you know what I figured we end up doing? I got off tomorrow. Jeremy's off tomorrow. We're going to do a little Thirsty Thursday here on the Raiders Report. And if you remember our Friday happy hour, Thursday happy hour type of shows, that's exactly what you're going to get here. However, the amount of smoke that is starting to go around Jim Harbaugh, I got to give you the brand new report around the Michigan football coach because it does impact the Las Vegas Raiders. The next segment that we're going to get into here on today's show, Patrick Graham, Antonio Pierce, are they leaving the silver and black in 2024? I'll give you the latest on this whole situation here, and I'll tell you, because I don't know if you've noticed, but the live poll right now, there's 400 people watching. If you could only keep one, Patrick Graham or Antonio Pierce, for a fun question, who would you end up keeping? Because right now, 61% of y'all that are watching this live show say Antonio Pierce. Probably in about an hour from now, maybe an hour and a half. I don't know what the shenanigans are going to be. Here's the thing. I'll tell you which one I would keep. And then, even though the Raiders are out of the playoffs, I still am going to be doing a little bit of a preview with their Week 18 game going up against the Denver Broncos because it has been 1,467 days since the Broncos defeated the Las Vegas Raiders. And I know that no chance to make the playoffs. However, though, this Week 18 rooting guide is going to be more driven towards how the Raiders can get a better draft pick even if they win, but also especially if they lose. Now, the first question that I got from all y'all here, where do you guys think Jim Harbaugh is going to be coaching next season? And if you want to shout out here on the Raiders Report, I already see Luis, Eric, Hammer, Steven, Mr. Raider Nation, Tiana. Appreciate all of y'all taking time out of your busy schedules to pull up here on the Raiders Report with Jeremy Chugs and I. But honest question here, where will Jim Harbaugh coach in 2024? If you think it's going to be the Michigan Wolverines, type M. If you believe it's going to be the Chicago Bears, type B. If you think it's going to be the Las Vegas Raiders, I want you to type R. If you think it's going to be just a totally other team in the NFL, maybe you think it's, I don't know, the Chargers, the Commanders, the Panthers, another team that's still out there looking for a new head coach once they do finally decide maybe to fire some people, you can type your O for other. So let's give some shout-outs here. I also see my guy Taino Raider in the chat spamming B for Bears. Taino, I'm going to be wearing your jersey this Sunday, the final game of the regular season, so be on the lookout for that. Legendary Jimmy Gaming says Bears. Luis Rodriguez, the Bears. Nick McBride, Michigan. Urza, Michigan. Lord Only Dance, Michigan. Sienna, Bears. I mean, I'll tell you this. It is a race between Chicago and the Michigan Wolverines. Eric's going to go with the Raiders. I see King Shav, always the countdown king, counting down before these shows get going. King, I appreciate you spamming the Raiders. Mark's going to go with other. Luda in the house. R, and then Just Win, baby. I actually almost wore that jersey today, is showing his love for the Chicago Bears. Now, I don't know about y'all, but one of the things that I love doing is fantasy sports. And I think a lot of the times the people that know me from my old school days before I did the Raiders Report, I did a lot of fantasy football, which is why when I found out that PrizePicks was going to be a sponsor here with Chugs and I was ecstatic. And Chugs wants to know, did you win your actual fantasy football league? Because whether you're typing your Y for yes or your N for no, every single day that I play PrizePicks, you can be a winner. And yeah, you lose. Sometimes it's going to happen. But at the end of the day, man, the fact that you can put down $10, have a chance to win, sometimes $100, 160, 25 times your money sometimes. But no matter what, you sit down and watch an NFL game for 3 hours, you're going to be entertained. To me, that is money well spent, even if you don't win. But if anybody who's watching right now wants to get started, all you got to do is go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Just make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. Now, you can get started on NBA. You can get started on college football. I don't know about y'all. I can't wait. I am going to be putting some money on more and less on Michael Penix Jr., the little J.J. McCarthy action, probably Blake Corum. Chugs and I are going to be live for Monday as well, in case you don't know. We'll probably get the show started 90 minutes before kickoff for Washington and Michigan. But I know a lot of people who watch this show also watch some of the NBA channels that we have here at Chat Sports. Put some money down on NBA. No matter what, you're going to have a fun time doing it. Shout out to PrizePicks for being a sponsor here on today's show. Again, PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Make sure that you use code CLNS. That link is available to you all down in the description and down in the comments of today's show. You can only keep one. I can't wait to see the answers on this one, Chugs. Antonio Pierce or Patrick Graham. I'm not going to give my answer now because I want y'all to watch the live show where I will end up eventually giving my answer. But let's just play a hypothetical, right? Let's play a hypothetical game where if you could only keep one, because the only way that you're only going to keep one is if, let's say, you do bring in a guy like Jim Harbaugh and Pierce is like, I want to be the defensive coordinator. Well, and that means Patrick Graham's got to go. Could you see a situation where maybe Patrick Graham gets a head coaching job because of how well he's done? Antonio Pierce stays. Or Mark Davis is it and says, we're only going to keep one. AP or PG. Where do you guys fall on this one? Jay Marsh, they're both going to go with AP. Paul, I see for Patrick Graham. We Out Here Entertainment, Robert Stewart King, both going to go with Patrick Graham. 07 Hot Dogs going to go with Antonio Pierce. The reason why that we are called Chat Sports is because when the Raiders Report was invented and when Chat Sports was invented, we wanted to be able to sit down like you and I are having a beer, like we're watching a little bit of sports action. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to go live for 37 hours and try to hit a hole-in-one, though I want to do something like that in the future. I'm just throwing it out there right now. But at the end of the day, I want to have a real-life conversation, and these are the conversations that I like to have with my friends. Speaking of a good friend of mine, no, Petey's right over there. And this is just Jeremy. Everybody show some love to Jeremy Chugs down here in the chat. Chugs, what do you think, man?
If I could only keep one.
You can only keep one.
I mean,
Patrick B says both.
You've said it multiple times, and I completely agree.
Okay.
The Raiders' defense has been one of the worst in the NFL for the past 20 years. If we look at the past 20 years in a vacuum, just those 20 years, which teams have had the best, which teams have had the worst defenses?
I think the Raiders are probably the worst.
Raiders probably in at least the bottom 5.
Oh, I'd bet my house that they're in the bottom 5.
And what Patrick Graham's been able to do the past 2 seasons,
I don't even own a home, by the way.
helping with this defense.
Yeah.
I know Antonio Pierce, he's a great person, he's a great leader, and that's never the conversation here of, oh, I don't like Pierce, I like Graham.
Yep.
I like both of these guys. I think they're
Absolutely.
both fantastic gentlemen. I think they're both great coaches. But if you're saying from, a schematic standpoint, which coach I think benefits the Raiders more, I think it's Patrick Graham.
I mean, I think you make a good point here. Also, remember, if anybody wants to get those questions, comments up here on the show, like if you want to interact with us, we can actually put your super chats, comments up here.
Oh, we can?
Use hashtag Raiders is the one way you can do it. Or to skip the line.
We can do that?
You can super chat.
Just like Real Cowboy 307?
Just like that. Actually, the next super chat that just came in, yes, I want to show him the holiday card. Real Cowboy 37, probably 307.
Yeah.
I take AP over PG. PG has been great without McDumbass, but McDumbass brought him in. Wash our hands of that idiot as much as we can. I hear what you're saying, but I could say the exact same thing that Josh McDaniels brought in Antonio Pierce. Can you not?
I mean, Josh McDaniels brought in
exactly
Davante Adams.
Exactly what you're saying here. Like, I hear that sometimes people want to wash their hands of everything, but the argument that you just gave me is the exact same argument I can fire back and say Antonio Pierce decided to join the Raiders with Josh McDaniels. And, he's kind of said it before, and I'm sure Patrick Graham felt the exact same way. It's not a matter of, oh, yes, I really want to go do this thing with Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels. It's, oh, wait, I can get a pay raise. I can get a better job. I can create a better opportunity for my family, my life, myself. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take that opportunity. So I'm going to totally disagree with what you're saying here. Let's go to Brian Folsom. And do you mind grabbing that real quick?
Yeah.
Holiday card. What up, gentlemen? Monday is going to be a hell of a game. How do you guys feel about drafting Michael Penix Jr., the quarterback out of Washington? Let's go Raiders. Side note, holiday card. Yeah, I'm going to go grab the holiday card, or Chugs is going to go grab it. We'll share it with you. I think anytime we get a fan here who watches the show, it just brings us a lot more closer together, where a lot of times I get offended when people are like, oh, so you're just a YouTuber. No, man, I think we've been able to create an amazing, amazing family here on this show. Yeah, and Facebook. But the fact that somebody takes time out of their day to send Chugs and I a holiday card, man, I'll tell you what, that means the world to me. So I just want you to, it said, wishing the simple beauty of the season a new year of peace and promise. And then it said, may you both in the Raiders Report have a blessed new year to come. Sincerely, Brian Folsom. So everybody right now, spam Brian Folsom down below, man. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable stuff, Brian. Appreciate the hell out of you. But back to the Michael Penix Jr. discussion. I mean, to me, it's going to be the medical. And the way that the NFL draft to me goes, a lot of times is recency bias, right? Like, look at a guy like Anthony Richardson. Nobody thought Anthony Richardson was going to go in round 1. Then he goes to the NFL Combine, lights it up, and then all of these discussions start being around Anthony Richardson goes at number 4. I understand that people are really excited about Michael Penix, and he's been a hell of a quarterback the past 2 years at Washington. However, he's going to be 24 years old. He's going to be undersized at the Combine, right? I mean, let's call it what it is, but it's the medical. He's going to get flagged for all the injuries that he has sustained, and I am a believer that there's going to be NFL teams that potentially take Michael Penix Jr. off of their draft board or lower him significantly because of the past injuries that he's had. Man, you get 2 ACLs and then multiple other injuries before he went to Washington at age 24, undersized quarterback that's also a lefty. Like, to me, if I'm the Raiders, you're not targeting him until, like I'm not even picking him in the top 40 because of where I think he ends up going. I'd be even willing to make a bet that even if they win the Natty, he doesn't go in the top 40.
I would make that bet with you.
You would make that bet with me?
I think if he wins the Natty, he goes in the top 40.
Okay.
You know how many QB-needy teams there are?
I hear you. But I could also say, would you rather than, I would take Michael Penix Jr. over a guy like Bo Nix. I would take a Michael Penix Jr. over a guy like J.J. McCarthy. However, would you rather roll with somebody like J.J., who is maybe even one more? Yes, he'll lose to Penix in the Natty, potentially, which, again, we'll be live for. I've seen quarterbacks that have gotten injured fall down the boards way too often, and I think recency bias, when the flags come out during the medical process, he's going to fall down the draft. That's my opinion. I could be totally wrong,
I don't know.
But that's my opinion on that right now. Derek says Penix will go top 15. That, I will definitely take that bet.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I think he's a Lamar Jackson situation where it'll be the 20s and a team will trade back into the first round to get him. Yeah, I could see a team like...
I'll bet Derek Garcia. I'll bet you a boot. I'll bet you a boot he doesn't go top 15. If he goes top 15, I'll do a boot on draft night on the house. Right now. If not, Derek, you owe us either a boot where you got to send me a video on Twitter and I can share it, or $100 super chat. You got yourself a deal. Take it or leave it.
I think he goes round 1 because there's too many QB needy. You think
deal.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they could use a quarterback. The Atlanta Falcons could still use a quarterback.
The Bucs are going to extend Baker. Why would they not?
Is he the quarterback of the future? Like, if he's not going to win you a Super Bowl, why do you just keep kicking the can down the field of we need a quarterback in a year or two?
Because I think if you're a team like the Buccaneers that might make the playoffs this season, and I would rather have Baker Mayfield I'd probably have Penix, Bo over Baker.
Right?
But, if you're a team, though, that makes the playoffs with Baker Mayfield, they're going to give him, I guarantee you the Bucs give Baker a 3-year, $60 to $70 million deal this offseason. He's going to get a Jimmy Garoppolo type of deal. He will. I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you. Rebel, I'll be going to the last game, F losing. Hey, we'll be talking about whether or not we want the Raiders to win, lose, or tie, but either way, it's Raider Nation till I die, man. Rebel, shout out to you, my brother. Let's go to David Taken. I like AP, but we need a proven head coach. We need Harbaugh, in my opinion. Here's the thing, right? If you tell me right now we are either going to get Antonio Pierce or Jim Harbaugh as the Raiders head coach, that's a win-win situation to me. if they hire Harbaugh over Antonio Pierce, I'm not going to sit up here on this show and be angry. Yeah, I'll tell you this right now. I want Antonio Pierce because to me, you keep Antonio Pierce, that also means that you're going to be keeping Patrick Graham, and I really want to keep those two together. However, though, if they decide to keep Harbaugh and then you lose Antonio Pierce, I'm going to be happy because Harbaugh's won everywhere he has gone. So I hear both sides of it. I just don't want a candidate. The candidate that scares the hell out of me this year is David Shaw, right? Because Mark Davis, every single year, he finds his Josh McDaniels, where it's like, there's no way he's going to hire that guy, right? There's no way. No way Josh McDaniels gets hired. To me, the Josh McDaniels hire is David Shaw, who has already been linked. It's been a few months, but he's been linked to the Raiders before. Let's go to Al. What's up, man? How about PG as head coach and keeping AP as linebacker coach? It's just not going to happen. Like, the way that the NFL goes, there's a lot of egos, and I'm sure Antonio Pierce would love to be a member of this team. But if you're an interim head coach, you're not going to go back to being the linebacker coach. Like, that's not going to happen. If anything, like you would say, all right, Patrick Graham, you go to head coach, AP, you go to DC, but then why the hell would you do that? Because that makes absolutely no sense. So, like, I think PG deserves a lot of head coaching interviews, and I said this, 2 weeks ago when I talked about, hey, man, don't be surprised if Patrick Graham is not back next season, not because he doesn't want to be back next season, but because of how good of a job he has done with this Raiders defense. I mean, the last time the Raiders allowed less than 20 points per game was all the way back in 2002 when the Raiders went to the Super Bowl. Sure, they lost, but if you believe in that mantra that's saying that defense wins championships, the Raiders defense is a Super Bowl caliber defense right now. So, like, that's why I want to keep both of these guys. And then you go find yourself a good OC who you can rely on, and you go find yourself a quarterback. Like, to me, that's an easier fix than bringing in Harbaugh or whoever and saying, all right, brand new staff, let's do it all over again. Like, if you think that you have a chance to win, you go that route. Because if you want to go clean slate and bring in a whole brand new everything, there's going to be a lot of guys that are older, like a Davante Adams, that simply is not going to be happy. All right, let's do today's deal. So today, I am going to do something that I have never done before. So I'm hoping one person can be my guinea pig here and send in a $50 super chat, because the deals are this. If you send in a $50 super chat, it's going to be me versus you in a duck race. 1v1. If your duck beats me, I got to do a beer bong. If my duck beats your duck, then guess what? I don't owe a beer bong. If you're like, Mitch, F that noise, I just want you to do a beer bong anyway. It's Thirsty Thursday. I'm trying to get turned up before the weekend. $100 we bang. But you know what, Jeremy? I had so much fun with the bang contest in the month of December. And shout out to our winner, Justin Abgen. And as it stands right now, we only have one bang in 2024. And his name is Michael. I asked Michael, please, can you get a picture? And can you get a different name? That way we actually know who you are. Like, if Michael pulled up in the chat right now, I would know exactly who he is. No doubt about it. But, like, there's also a lot of Michaels out there, right? Like, when I say David Zahn, you add a last name, it makes more sense, right? So, we're doing a January bang race, and the winner of our January bang race is also going to get something that we have never given out before. I don't know if you can make it up here a little higher. I added it to the one spot. Doesn't look like it's in the right spot. But we are going to be giving away a jersey, let's call it. And I've been wanting to do this for a while. And my question to the nation before you show the jersey is, out of all the numbers for Raiders, right? Like, when you think about legendary Raiders numbers, what number do you think, like, stands out the most to you, right? Like, is there a number that you're like, that is the Raiders number? So it might be a difficult question, but what is the most iconic Raiders number? It can be of all time. It can be, when you think of Raiders number, what number do you think of? Because to me, I do think of a few numbers off the top of my head. So we see Tadashi says 24. Martin says 32. Stevie says 24. Duvall says 24. 34 from Gary Gum. I like that one for Bo. 98 from Seth, a little Mad Max action. So here's what we're going to do. Every single month, this entire year, it's 2024, we're going to give a jersey away to whoever the Bang MVP is on this show. So the jersey that you would get is going to say this, and we're only allowed to have 10 characters, so we had to smush it together a little bit. It says January Bang MVP, number 24. We're going to do one in February, March, April, May, June, July, August, throughout the entirety of the year. January Bang MVP. So right now, if the month were to end today, it'd be a short month, 4-day month.
Wow.
Michael would get the Bang January MVP
it is a leap
jersey.
Year.
And the only thing I hope is people actually wear these out. Like, this isn't going to be a jersey that I wear on backwards. It's not going to be a jersey that Jeremy wears. It's going to be a jersey we send to you, and I hope that you actually wear it. Like, I hope when you wear it out in public, you wear it, and then there's somebody who watches the Raiders report, and they're like, oh, shit, that's Tryvan, the January Bang MVP. Oh, shit, that's Brian Folsom, the January Bang MVP. Oh, shit, that's Sonny Ortiz, the January Bang MVP from the Raiders report. So we're going to try to get back here a little bit. We're going to try to have a good time. And hopefully we got some people down here today that are ready to get a little bit weird and wild with us today on the Raiders Report. All right, y'all, we got 700 people here in the building. If you haven't already, make sure you click that like button. Believe it or not, it does help us out quite a bit
John
on this show.
Velasquez said he'll wear it to church.
He'll wear it to church, John. You can. I'd be very happy about it. Though I will say, and RIP to the family, but there was a family this year I saw that they lost a significant other, and the entire family wore Josh Jacobs shirts and jerseys to the funeral, and I was like, man, that is the most Raider thing I have ever seen. Like, for people that don't think Raider Nation is a family, I mean, that is the only proof that you need. Honest question. Do you want the Raiders to beat the Broncos? Yes or no?
I've seen all yeses.
I expected to see a lot of yeses, which I'm very, very happy that this is the answer that a lot of y'all are going with, and we will be live on Sunday when the Raiders and Broncos end up playing in an AFC West matchup. But this is a question that I do think a lot of people need to answer, because I would say this. If you want the Raiders to draft Caleb Williams, Drake May, or Jaden Daniels, you probably should answer no to this, because if they win this football game, they're not going to get one of those three players. I mean, you can just throw that out the window. It ain't happening. The only way it does happen is if you give up you would literally have to give up 3 first-round picks, Davante Adams, and then probably 3 second-round picks because of how far you're going to be down in the draft in order to get one of those guys. So if you're like, yeah, I'll do that for one of those QBs, cool. But I just don't think it's going to happen. However, though, if you want the Raiders to win, I like it.
And people are saying it doesn't affect your draft stock that much. It actually might
it could really, really impact your
It might
draft
surprise
stock.
you how much it will affect your draft stock.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, if you want the Raiders to beat the Broncos, you're not getting any of those 3 quarterbacks that I just mentioned. Throw it out the window. It ain't happening. So I see everyone still saying yes, which I'm glad about. I do see some people like Cloud saying no. Dan Tyser says 3 firsts and Colton Miller, not enough. Not even close to enough. It would. I mean, if it was 3 firsts, Colton Miller, Davante Adams in a second, maybe. Then you might have a chance to get up there to get one of those 3 quarterbacks. But for 3 firsts and Colton Miller, you ain't getting any of those.
It'd probably be 3 firsts, Colton Miller, 2 seconds, and a third.
The Warrior Mindset says this game doesn't matter. We won't remember it 5 years from now. Get a better pick. It's going to be interesting. Mike Delgado, I'd rather have Penix anyway. Wild. Kent, how many teams are wishing they got Lamar
at this point?
I
mean, I think all 31 that skipped on him, minus
the
the
Bengals
Chiefs.
don't, the Chiefs don't, the Bills don't. I bet you the Chargers would say that they would still stick with Justin Herbert. Besides that, I think every other team, the Eagles might say they'd still rather have Jalen Hurts. However, that's been a little bit of a rocky ship recently. I mean, but to me, all those teams are like, yeah, I'd probably rather have Lamar Jackson. What's wild is
I would ask Chase, but it looks like he's contemplating life right now. Dude, he's just. I look over and he's facing the window, just stroking his chin.
Do I do it? The tush push helps.
everything in a vacuum. Everything in a vacuum. Contract the same, whatever. They say, okay, you can swap Lamar for Hurts right now.
Willie Pfister, the first race of the day.
Willie Pfister.
Our Week 16 MVP, and I have good news. The jersey is going to say Will Pfister. I have good news. It will say Will Pfister. I talked to him yesterday about it. With having a top-tier defense, who are the top 5 free agent quarterbacks to make a Super Bowl run with next year? Need a good veteran willing to groom a rookie quarterback that we draft. Whoever we draft, I don't see a rookie taking us to the postseason year 1.
I mean, if you're talking about drafting a Michael Penix or a Bo Nix and having a bridge quarterback, I think the only options would be Baker Mayfield or Kirk Cousins. Maybe Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco. I mean, the other name that I did a video on it earlier. I released one today. Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson at $1.21 million, I think is another veteran. I don't like Russell.
Mike, 100% if the Raiders draft Michael Penix, we will be coming out with a shirt that says Big Penix Energy.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt, man. All right, Jeremy.
Maybe the best race we've ever done.
I'm excited for this race. So, again, for those of you that do not know, every time we get a $100 super chat today, I bang and I got to do a beer bong. However, if you want to risk it for the biscuit here a little bit, if Willie Pfister beats me in a duck race right now, I owe him a beer bong. If not, well, then I don't owe him one, and you guys are just entertained with a duck race between me and Willie Pfister. I'll tell you what, this is going to be electric here. If you don't know what a duck race is, then you're missing out. Let me know who you got. Type M for Mitch. Type W for Willie. Winner of this race dictates whether or not I do a beer bong here. So let me know down below. Let me know down below who you got. And then I see one more super chat rolling in here from Scheffler. And then we will get into the first segment that we have here on today's show around Jim Harbaugh. I got 2 more segments then after that. Chugs and I will probably stay live for as long as you guys want us to, but I do have to get out of here by in 2.5 hours. I got to be out of here by 2.5 hours. So just something to keep in mind. Who you got? No surprise, nothing but W's from Raider Jack. I see my man Abel in the chat. Raider J, Jack Kenna, Kenny, Bayou, Raider Scott. All showing those W's. What up, Raider Muerte? You ready, Chugs? 3, 2, 1. Let's get this thing going. If Willie Pfister beats me in a duck race, I owe a beer bong. If you're like, Mitch, how the hell do I get on the next duck race? $50 super chat for a chance to race me one-on-one. And if your duck beats my duck, I got a feeling I'm going to have to do a beer bong here. Come on, Mitch! Come on, Mitch! Oh, that was a blowout. Blowout! Let's go! An absolute blowout. Oh, it feels good to win, doesn't it? It feels so good to win. 1-0. Chalk it up. 1-0. Winners win. Winners win. So, again, these are our deals on today's show. Shout out to my man Willie for always having a good time here. And then also, if anybody wants a chance to do like a bigger duck race and actually have a chance to win some money, we are going to be doing one at the very, very end of the show like we always do. $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365 for a chance to get in this race. And you know what, Jeremy? I'm feeling good. Put me in the race. First duck in the race is me. I'm going in. I'm going to win, too. I'm telling you right now. I feel good. I feel good, man. All right, I'm putting my own name in. Let's go. Mitchell Renz in this piece. You ain't taking me down. You ain't taking me down. If you want in for a shot to win a little bit of money, at Mitchell Renz 365 on Venmo, you can scan that QR code with your phone. If you're watching this on a TV, it's the easiest way to do it. If you're like, Mitch, I'm watching this on my phone. How do I do it? Just look me up at Mitchell Renz 365. If you want to add me as a friend before you send it, hey, no harm, no foul. In fact, I just saw one roll in here real quick. And once my phone loads, our Wi-Fi here is an absolute disgrace, but it is what it is. Let's go to John Scheffler. Mitch, I do not want Jim if it's going to cost us $125 million for 10 years. He gets total control. We did that twice already and got nothing. We did that twice already. We got nothing. I don't know if you meant to do that twice already and got nothing, but I hear what you're saying. So the reason why Scheffler's throwing this out here is because back on December 24th, it was reported that the Michigan Wolverines offered Jim Harbaugh a 10-year, $125 million deal to be the next head coach of Michigan, or at least it was just thrown out there. And I hear you in the regards to, holy shit, I hear you in regards to the idea that maybe you do not want it to happen, but I honestly don't think that if the Raiders brought in Harbaugh, it would be a 10-year deal. I think it would actually be a little bit closer to a 6-year deal. Maybe it would be even a little bit closer to a 5 or a 4-year deal, but I believe it's a 6-year deal. Man, probably in the $15 million a year range. I mean, if they want to get Harbaugh for what other teams are potentially willing to offer him, I think you have to start at $15 million for Harbaugh. But then again, in that money, I hear what you're saying, but people always think that Mark Davis is broke. Mark's a billionaire, y'all. Mark's got money. He's going to be able to pay this move. He's going to be able to do it. I ain't sweating it even in the slightest. Jeremy, you know what? I didn't know if it was going to happen, but I'm happy it did. This one's rolling in from Jeffrey Kreischer. Bang! And rules are rules. Rules are rules. Jeffrey, I'll get you a boot, my guy. I'll get you a boot. Let's go to Justine Gonzalez. Keep AP PG. And then AC as backup. Pull a vet quarterback, a new OC. Raiders players, fans, tired of starting over. Everybody spam, bang, and spam Jeffrey Kreischer right now also, who is our second bang of the year 2024. Shout out to him, which means, I don't know if I got to do a boot. 3 beers and 1. It's going to be a shit show here. Okay. I know Raiders fans are tired of starting over. I'm tired of starting over too. However, the Raiders have never hired a coach like Jim Harbaugh. To me, I really honestly wasn't all that excited for John Gruden. I hated the move around Josh McDaniels. But I like the idea of keeping AP PG. I think no matter what, you're going to keep Aiden O'Connell as your backup. Your vet quarterback, though, who do you want? Are you going to pay Kirk Cousins $40 million a year coming off a popped Achilles? I don't think I am. This might be crazy to y'all. I'd rather have Russell Wilson at $1.2 million than Kirk Cousins at $40 million plus. The other option that you could potentially do is you could potentially go Justin Fields. I know some of y'all don't like that idea, but you trade a second or a third round pick for Justin Fields. I don't know, y'all. I know some people think oh, you're going to have to give him a big contract right away. I actually don't think that you're going to have to give him a big contract right away. If Justin Fields says, hey, whoever's the team that trades for me, you also got to pay me $40 million plus like it's been reported, then that ain't happening. That I can promise you. Justine, shout out to you. All right, y'all. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All right, let me take down this boot first. Mike Delgado, Big Penix is NFL ready.
Big
Penix, man. He can sling the rock. There's no doubt about it. Chugs, I need you to give a few shout-outs here. I got a boot to take down for Mr. Jeffrey Kreischer.
There we go. Let's go. Everybody spam Kreischer. Everybody spam OC. We're going to get to you in just a moment. Kent, bigger 2024 decision, coach or quarterback? Ooh, that's a good question. Bigger decision. I would say coach. You've gone through multiple coaches in the past 5 years. I say coach is the bigger decision.
I say QB. I think if you gave Josh McDaniels, Patrick Mahomes, playoff team. Playoff team. I mean, look how pathetic the Kansas City Chiefs, without Mahomes as their quarterback, legitimately might be one of the worst offenses in the NFL. If you put Aiden O'Connell on that Chiefs offense, that's the worst offense in the National Football League. It is. And you can laugh at that. You can dispute that all you want. It's the truth. If you put Patrick Mahomes on this Raiders team, they're the best team in the NFL. You have a top 3, top 5 defense, arguably. With the talent that we have on the offensive side of the football, I get it. People want to go out and get a Jim Harbaugh, AP. Like, there's a reason why Phil Jackson's regarded as the GOAT. He had great players around him, right? Like, I think Andy Reid is a phenomenal coach, but, I mean, if I told you you could have Andy Reid or Patrick Mahomes, who are you taking? You're taking Patrick Mahomes, right? Like, oh, man. It's a great question. No?
I mean,
I guess maybe the Patrick Mahomes isn't a fair one. Do you go with, if I told you you could either have Jim Harbaugh or Antonio Pierce, or you can get Caleb Williams, Drake May. I'm taking Caleb Williams or Drake May, and you can give me somebody else.
I know you're not contemplating taking Reid.
I mean, if you already have a good quarterback.
He's never won it.
No, so the question is, what's more important, a quarterback?
Won a Super Bowl without Andy Reid?
No, the question is, what's a bigger decision, coach or quarterback?
Mahomes didn't get it done in college.
It's got to be quarterback. Can it not? Is it not? It's got to be QB. I think it's got to be.
Did you hear what he just said?
I didn't.
He said Mahomes didn't get it done in college against less competition. Yeah, he's the only quarterback until Michael Penix that back 4,500 yards.
Adriano
So Michael Penix
Martinez,
first
you
overall?
in. Salvador Mena, you in. Justine Gonzalez in. Brian Folsom in twice.
Andy Reid's a wizard. I don't know why you're looking at him.
I mean, he's the best coach in the NFL.
Awesome. I'm just saying, if you ask me tomorrow, who am I taking to start my franchise with?
Ray Aguirre, you in. So right now, for our 50-50 race, we got 7 people in.
Young Andy Reid, you
$20
can have him for 30
Venmo.
years.
$20 Venmo for a chance to win as it stands right now. $70.
We might have to update the list because OC said there's a little bit of controversy. He said this is his 3rd.
No way. I think he's saying 3rd bang of the year is a charm. So saying this is the 3rd bang in 2024.
Oh.
That's how I read it. This one's rolling in from OC Raider. Bang! If you don't spam OC, then you miss Josh McDaniels.
Yep, you're right, Mitch. I'm wrong.
What?
What you were saying about OC?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I do a lot of weird and crazy shit on this show, man, but I really try to do a good job of keeping up to date, and I actually like when you say that. You're right, Mitch. I don't hear it often. If you guys want a shout-out here on the Raiders Report, Jeremy Chugs and I will give you some shout-outs here in just a second. I owe a beer bong, and then coming up on today's show, let's do something else besides drink a little bit. Don't get me wrong. I love having a good time with the nation, but I do want to talk a little bit about Jim Harbaugh. And I think the video that I'm about to drop today on Harbaugh, the news around Harbaugh today, I don't want to be slurring too much. So here is our, which I just realized, I spelled January, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, I think I forgot the R, but then I see it. Yep, it's getting rowdy here. Our January bang race, just so you guys know, because Michael was the first one to send it in, that's why it's Michael at 1, but then I guess OC would be 3, Jeffrey, whatever. Three-way tie. We
have a 3-way here on the Raiders Report.
3-way here on the Raiders Report. It's not the last time. Chugs, can you give a few shout-outs to everybody spamming OC real quick? I got a beer bong to do. Then we got another duck race.
We got David Zahn, Fetzy, David Bauer, Sonny Ortiz, Cloud, G-Money, Cloud, King Javier, Rich O, Raider OC, Queen Sarah Otto, Blue Richards, Doug Barney, Blue Richards, Abel Beloso, King Zay. Vincenzo. Raider Muerte.
You sound like Raider Muerte.
I live my life a quarter mile at a time. Let's race Mitch. All right, I'll have that coming up in just a second. John Scheffler.
And besides that, Jim has not proven that he's a personnel guy yet, because coach hasn't been personnel override, but maybe Michigan. Jim has not proven that he's a personnel guy yet, to me, I think he has.
I mean, he went to the Super Bowl with the 49ers.
Like, to me, one of the things that I want in my next head coach is to be a trendsetter. I want them to have the ability, having the coaching ability, to be a trendsetter. What I don't want is a guy like John Gruden, who lives back in the early 2000s. I don't want a guy like Josh McDaniels that was only good because of Tom Brady and continues to stick with it. And I don't want to end up having just an old school mentality coach. You got to give Jim Harbaugh a lot of credit. Like, yeah, Harbaugh runs an old school style of offense with Michigan because that's the talent that he has. But, man, he was one of the very first trendsetters in terms of getting a mobile quarterback in the NFL.
Sun's coming in from
David Zon Bang! Another one!
That's a beer bong.
If you don't spam Zon, everybody show some love to Mount Raidermore Long Zon. The Long Zon.
He said bang.
I like to bang.
I like to bang.
I like to bang. You know what I love? Recently, Zon, and this is why Zon's one of the GOATs, which you guys already knew. But we have a Mount Raidermore chat on Instagram, which the other day people were asking why you're not in it. So, and by people, I mean Wild One. So, Wild One, I'm throwing you under the bus here. But Zon always wants to FaceTime, and I love my FaceTimes with those guys. But seeing the conversations that these guys have is kind of wild sometimes. But I appreciate it. It reminds me of the really cool conversations me and my old college buddies used to have. We got a nice little fraternity here on the Raiders Report. David Zahn, shout out to you, and our January bang race continues. If you're like, Mitch, what the hell is a bang? You might be new to the show. You might be new to the show. All right, let's go to Urza here. Oh, wait. We got to do the Brian Folsom.
Yeah, it's ready.
Oh, it's ready to rock?
Urza, which QB would you prefer from the draft or trade?
Which quarterback do I want? Drake May. I want Drake May or Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels. And even though I have Drake May and Caleb Williams ranked the highest on my list, if I'm the Las Vegas Raiders, okay, I trade up to number 3. Because I believe, holy shit, what it ends up costing you to trade up to 3 instead of trading up to 1 and 2 is 2 first-round picks. It's probably a first-round pick and a second-round pick of a difference because of how those quarterbacks are evaluated. However, though, you trade up to 3 right now, and I bet you there's a chance that you still might get a Drake May or Caleb Williams due to recency bias, because once Jaden Daniels goes to the NFL Combine, there's going to be teams that look at him and go, we might want to draft him at 1. We might want to draft him at number 2. You got to give me a second here. This one's for Zahn. Another one! O.C. Raider! Bang! We got the lead! O.C. Raider with the lead. And remember, whoever comes in first place for our January Bang race, you are going to get our first ever January Bang MVP Raiders Report jersey sent right to you. All right, I got another beer bong I got to do. However, before I do that, let's see if we can get a deal out of this. So if Brian Folsom's duck beats me, I got to do another beer bong. That's 2 beer bongs. Might as well make it a boot. If I get another dub, I've already won 1 race today. Will I get another? Come on, Mitch. Oh, man. Who you got? F for Mitch. B for Brian. Come on, Mitch. Come on, Mitch. Oh, no, I think Brian's got me. Son of a gun, Brian, you won. And winner, duck dinner. Brian Folsom, that's 2 beer bongs, making another. David Zon Bang! Another one. Oh boy. Well, this is taking a turn, I'll tell you that. This is taking a rather large turn that I did not foresee coming, which I don't even know why. I don't even expect it at this point with y'all. Chugs, if you could do me the honors. I mean, it's got to be a David Zahn milkshake. It's got to be the David Zahn shake. To the OGs watching the show right now, Happy New Year, OC Raider. To the OGs watching the show, what is a David Zahn milkshake? What is a David Zahn milkshake? How many people are going to get this right? What is a David Zahn milkshake? Here is our January bang race. Who's going to join them? Who's going to join them? Right here. This could be you. This could be Abby, David, Easton, K Smooth, Blue Richards, Taino, Robert, Jeffrey Kreischer. Blue says 3 beers. Close. You're not wrong, Blue. Jeffrey Kreischer's got it. Jeffrey Kreischer's got it. King's got it. Rodrigo's got it. Oh, man. I'll tell you what. I'm glad we got food today. Or I got food today. Though Jeremy gave me today chocolate hummus. Actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good. DK's over there like, oh, it's actually really good. Oh, man. DK. A little chocolate hummus. A little chocolate hummus. A little chocolate hummus for her. I see you. Oh, shit. All right. Oh, man. All right. This is going to be a disaster. Here's what we're going to do. Let's do the first segment. Let me get this first segment, and then I'm going to do this boot. Because if I do this boot, the Harbaugh segment, it's going to be an interesting one. There's this guy named Jim, and he coaches a team, and he might come to the Raiders. That's the video. John Rodriguez, Mitch, if we lose and we get the number 8 pick, how much draft picks to move up to get number 3? I haven't done the exact math on it yet, but you're kind of going into one of my segments here, John, which I'll talk about a little bit later on today. But I will make a new video because last week I made a video around, right now the Raiders are at pick 11, what it would cost them to get up to 3, 2, and 1. If the Raiders are at pick number 8, and I'll break down essentially what it's going to cost them then to get up to 3, 2, and 1 yet again. But if I had to guess off the top of my head to get to pick number 3, if you're at number 8, I would say a first-round pick this year, a third-round pick this year, and then, dude, it might cost another first, if I'm being honest, or it could be like a second-round pick in next year's draft. Nah, it's still not enough. I think it's probably a first this year, a first next year, and a third-round pick this year. That's probably the value that it is around there. What up, Brian? You almost had me. I was leading most of the race, Brian. I was leading most of the race. You never had me. You never had your duck. Granny swimming, got double paddling. Double paddling? Like you should. I think you mean, are you doggy paddle? Am I doggy paddling? Shout out to Brian Folsom for being a good sport, man. Shout out to Brian. Okay, guys, I owe you guys a boot, which I'm going to have to do after this first cut here, so just, bear with me a little bit. If If you haven't already, make sure you click that like button. But coming up here on the show, I'm going to give you some new big-time information around Jim Harbaugh. This does impact the Las Vegas Raiders. It is from the most reliable source you could probably find out there. That's not Jim Harbaugh himself. But I'm telling you all this right now. It's wild, man. Also, Venom. What's up? For those that don't know, Jeremy lost his voice. he's riding the struggle bus a little bit. Okay, man. You ready to get this one? First one's going to be Panda. Remember also, if anybody wants a chance to get in our 50-50 raffle, Venmo me at Mitchell Renz 365. And right now we have Kobe Carson in. And then Adam White also in. 9 people in right now. $20 Venmo for a chance to win $90 here on the Raiders Report. All right, the first segment coming up here is going to be around Jim Harbaugh. It's a juicy one, so I need you all to be waiting with me. And for any of you Panda Sups lovers out there, which you guys know I'm a big fan of Panda Sups, got some new stuff around them as well. So, Chugs, you ready to get this thing going? You guys ready to get this thing going? Coming up here right now, the latest around Jim Harbaugh. Raider Nation, if you want Jim Harbaugh to be the Raiders head coach next season, I want you to like the video right now, because coming up here on today's show, the video that I have, if you want Harbaugh, there's going to be a big, big smile on your face. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and today's show presented by Panda Sups. If anybody wants to go get started with Panda Sups, they have the best workout supplements on the market. But they also got something new that I'm going to tell you about here in just a little bit that I promise you're not going to want to miss. Use code Raiders for 20% off at pandasups.com. That link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. So coming up here on the Raiders Report, the Jim Harbaugh to the NFL rumors are the hottest that they have ever been. And I mean, my stove at home, it goes up to 10. I'm putting this thing on an 11 right now, because as far as I'm concerned, y'all might as well already consider Jim Harbaugh leaving Michigan and coming to the NFL. If you want to make sure that you are staying up to date on everything going on around Jim Harbaugh and the Raiders, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, because I can promise you this. There is not another person that covers the Raiders that has the sources that we do here at Chat Sports around Jim Harbaugh, around Michigan football, and around him potentially coming to the silver and black. Heck, I dropped this video back on December 19th, and wouldn't you know it, a lot of new sources coming out here, a lot of new stories talking about Jim Harbaugh potentially coming here to the Raiders. But I told y'all, Mark Davis got a contract ready. Where there's smoke, there is fire. And for anybody out there that doesn't believe in a lot of the things that we're saying, it's okay. I earn it. You got to earn your stripes here. But guess what? December 19th, the proof is in the pudding. You want to go check out that video? Go subscribe, check it out, because I'm telling you, nobody's going to be covering the Harbaugh to the Raiders stuff like we will here. So in case you do not know, the Harbaugh to the NFL rumors are as hot as they've ever been, because according to Paul Feinbaum, who's an ESPN insider, and he's, how I would explain it to a lot of people is he's like the Adam Schefter of college football, where he is ESPN's go-to insider to break big-time college football news. And Feinbaum on Get Up recently said that he is confident. And when you actually listen to him talk throughout it, I mean, it sounds like 100% Jim Harbaugh is leaving Michigan and going to the NFL. So when you get a guy like Paul Feinbaum saying Harbaugh's leaving Michigan, I mean, that's just like Adam Schefter popping up here on this show and saying Jim Harbaugh's leaving Michigan. When Feinbaum says something like that, everybody needs to listen. And he believes that he's going to the NFL after the college football playoffs, which it was something that we talked about, again, back on December 19th. But I always say this, right? And you always got to remember this. It's not just on the Raiders Report. It's in life. Actions speak louder than words. Hell, I can literally hear my dad. I'm a little kid, man, playing sports, baseball, basketball. My dad used to always say, oh, actions speak louder than words. But I also always say on the show, where there is smoke, there is fire. And if you've been following the trail of smoke, it's going to lead you to fire sooner or later. And with the amount of smoke that started on December 19th, there was a lot out there. Then the Raiders beat the Chiefs, right? And then I actually thought it was going to be done. They were going to get AP. But with what has happened over just the last 5 days, I am telling y'all right now, when we talked about Jim Harbaugh potentially coming to the Raiders 2 years ago, back in 2022, there is more smoke right now around Harbaugh going to the NFL, around Harbaugh going to the Raiders, than what there was 2 years ago, and it ain't close. So let's follow along with this timeline, because I get it. My job here on the Raider Sports, keep you guys up to date. Don't get me wrong. I like to have a good time on live. I like to bang. I like to do a few beer bongs here and there, maybe a boot. But at the end of the day, my job is to keep you guys up to date. So if you've been busy during the holidays, maybe you haven't been following along here with our timeline of keeping everything up to date here going on around Harbaugh. So on December 19th, the Raiders, I reported here on the show that they have a contract ready to go to Jim Harbaugh. Why? Because we have somebody very close to a lot of the agents, a lot of the lawyers that Jim Harbaugh's been working with. We reported that Harbaugh's got a Michigan agent, he's got an NFL agent, and he's got a lawyer. But the Raiders have been making backdoor communications with Harbaugh because of all the great relationships that they've had. A source told us that Mark Davis is going to have that contract ready after the CFB playoffs. Shocker, that's what everybody's reporting now. And we know that Mark Davis is great friends with Harbaugh. Let's fast forward a little bit here. A week later, December 25th, Michigan doesn't get a deal done. If you remember, it was reported by Ian Rappaport on December 24th that apparently Michigan offered Harbaugh a 10-year, $125 million deal. But with Harbaugh, he wanted that deal by Christmas. And he said he will not negotiate until after the season is done. Harbaugh's team was extremely unhappy that Michigan did not give him a long-term deal. And even though Harbaugh is a Michigan man, it's where he played college football, it's where he wanted to coach in 2024, but because they said no, or they didn't take him as serious, / the NCAA has been down Harbaugh's you-know-what, this is why he now wants to go to the NFL. I'm always a believer, too, that even though the NFL is a insider's league, if you will, I do know this. When guys start talking, people talk a lot, right? And as soon as the Los Angeles Chargers caught wind that the Raiders were legit contenders in Jim Harbaugh sweepstakes, wouldn't you know it, report comes out, Chargers now are showing interest in Mr. Michigan himself. There was even reported that they'd be willing to offer him a $15 million per year deal. The reason why it's smart for the Chargers to do that is because that puts the Raiders' asking price up a little bit. So you have all these things linking up. Then the big one that happened on December 31st. I get it, it was New Year's Eve. You maybe weren't paying attention, but Harbaugh hires Tom Brady's agent. The fact that Harbaugh hired Don Yee, I mean, this is probably one of the biggest things out there that I don't think people were really talking about. Now, don't get me wrong, we were talking about here on the Raiders Report, and then once you know it, every single person, The Athletic, ESPN, CBS, everybody starts picking up this story. But the fact that Harbaugh hired Don Yee to represent him, Yee is Tom Brady's agent, and Don Yee is extremely well connected with the Raiders organization. In fact, he's also Jimmy Garoppolo's agent. He is extremely tied in with a lot of the people that Mark Davis talked to before he hired Josh McDaniels. I don't want you to get worried about more Josh McDaniels BS, but Don Yee is so well connected with the Raiders that, like, the fact that Harbaugh hired Don Yee is the biggest smoke that I can offer. But then, now most recently, January 3rd, Paul Feinbaum says that Harbaugh's leaving Michigan. So again, like, I know the whole smoke to fire thing is a kind of a old shtick for some people, but like, this is what people do, right? People talk. Cool. Don't listen to what people say, right? Because you can get a guy like Mark Davis saying, I like where the Raiders are at 2-7. Don't listen to what people say. Watch actions, because that is so much more important to actually see what ends up happening. So Paul Feinbaum says, hey, Jim Harbaugh's leaving the Michigan Wolverines. Said that he's confident in it. And the fact that Feinbaum just has this track record, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Harbaugh's done at Michigan. Yeah, he's going to coach them against Washington in the national championship game, which we will be live for. Hit that subscribe button. But if Paul Feinbaum's saying that he's leaving Michigan, and with all this other stuff going on, I'm telling you what, right now, there has never been more smoke around Harbaugh joining the Las Vegas Raiders than what there is right now. It's probably why Chugs has been over there choking the whole time. Coming up next here on the show, a very important report that I think a lot of people are forgetting. Now, we talked about this all the way back in November. I'm talking early November, and I get it. A lot of shit happens, right? You got Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, the holidays, an NFL season. A lot of different stuff goes on, and people forget things. Don't worry. I got you guys back. And coming up, I'm going to tell you what that important report was. But if you don't already know, man, today's show is sponsored and presented by Panda Sups. And I am really excited because I love all Panda Sups products. And I've always been trying to eat healthier. And I mean, let's face it, it's New Year, right? New Year, new me. And if you're like me, one of the things that I'm really trying to do is cut down on my sodium intake. The doctors have told me that, Mitch, you got to lower that down a little bit. And I'm really excited that Panda Sups is doing this. So introducing Panda Sups Premium Season Prep in partnership with Jeffrey Harris, who has over 1 million Instagram followers. Elevate your prep game to a whole new level. Join the Panda family in embracing a healthier, tastier lifestyle with Panda supplements and Jeffrey Harris's premium prep seasonings. Specifically crafted to tantalize your taste buds, these seasonings boost an impressive 0-calorie count per 710 milligram serving, ensuring guilt-free enjoyment with every sprinkle. Each serving contains under 100 milligrams of sodium, making it smart choice for those mindful of their salt intake. Crafted with care, using real high-quality ingredients, including a delightful blend of salt, honey, paprika, garlic, onion, pepper, parsley, and more, our seasonings guarantee an explosion of flavor in every bite. Whether you opt for something sweet like cinnamon honey butter, the classic appeal of herb and butter, the earthy essence of roasted veggies, the spicy kick of Taco Tuesday, the fiery heat of Texas Heat, or the harmonious blend of Hefe Special, there's a flavor for every palate. Elevate your culinary creations and make truly unforgettable flavor experience with Prep Premium Seasoning. Shout out to Panda Sups for hooking up the nation. Remember, use code Raiders for 20% off at pandasups.com. That link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. Each one of these, less than $10. Sounds pretty good to me. I know we're always trying to eat here on the Raiders Report. So the fact that Panda's doing this, man, awesome stuff. All right, coming up here is a very important report that I do think a lot of people amongst Raider Nation are forgetting. And it's something that I do think kind of goes into the Don Yee thing of why when that happened, I was like, holy shit. He hired who? Don Yee? Big time news. So how many people out there remember the report from CBS that said Tom Brady will advise Mark Davis on who the next Raiders head coach is going to be and the next GM? How many people out there remember it? It's okay if you're honest with me. If you're watching this live right now, say me. If you don't, it's all good. But one of the biggest top trending reports out there right when they fired Josh McDaniels, and maybe you missed it. We were live for 26 straight hours. But the fact that it was reported that Tom Brady is going to have a big influence on Mark Davis in the next head coaching cycle and GM, and then Jim Harbaugh goes out and hires Don Yee. Oh, man. Because you're going to hire the same agent as Brady, who's also very well connected to the Raiders. Like, there are certain teams, there are certain owners that believe in different mantras, mottos, that believe in certain things. And the Raiders, I think, have always run their organization, if you will, like a family. You know what I mean? And when you think about the fact that Harbaugh hires Don Yee, the same agent as Brady, Brady and Harbaugh have tons of connections together from Michigan. And then you add on top of that, Harbaugh and Mark Davis are very well connected in their own right? Like what Mark Davis loves is relationships. It's a fact. Like, Mark Davis, if you have a previous relationship with Mark Davis and he feels like he can trust you on that friendly family basis, you're going to get bumped up that pedigree scale because that's what he values. Because the Raiders run their organization like a family because that's what Mark Davis believes in. So the fact that Harbaugh played at Michigan from 1982 to 1986, now Tom Brady's a part owner of the team, that means something. Jim has been the head coach of Michigan since 2015. That means something. Harbaugh's first NFL coaching gig was back in Oakland in 2002. that all means something to Mark Davis. And when I think about this entire thing on Harbaugh to Las Vegas, Mark Davis cares about relationships. And the fact that Harbaugh has a solid one with Tom Brady, has a solid relationship with Mark Davis, and had a great relationship with Al Davis is why the probability of Jim coming to the Raiders is the most likely it has ever been. A few weeks ago, I was on this show and I was like, man, I get there's a lot of rumors out there, and I try to keep it to you guys straight. I want the Raiders to keep Antonio Pierce because that also means to me that they're going to keep Patrick Graham, and I want the defensive side of the football to be there. If it was up to me, I'm going to go out and find a quarterback. I'm going to go out and find an OC, and that's how I would do it. But I also understand the idea that you're going to bring in Jim Harbaugh, who has never lost anywhere he has been. Like, I get the idea of bringing in Jim. So coming up, the other thing that people don't know / are forgetting, and this was something that we talked about back on December 19th that just kind of adds another layer. It adds another thing to why Harbaugh definitely can come to the Raiders and why people shouldn't think that it's a crazy idea. I'll tell you what that is in just a moment. However, Jeremy Chuggs and I, we are going to be live on Monday. Washington, Michigan. Must-watch game, man. I can't wait for this football game. Michael Penix Jr., J.J. McCarthy. The Huskies are underdogs in this one by 4.5 points. The over-under, 55.5. So, I got to ask you, right? Who you got? Type W for Washington. Type M for Michigan. You know, last night or 2 nights ago, Chuggs and I were talking about this game. I think Washington's going to win. Jeremy said Michigan's going to win. However, when we go live, we're just going to be hoping for a good football game overall. I'm not going to be mad either way. If Michigan wins, shout out to Jim Harbaugh. Shout out to Charles Woodson. If anything, I'd probably be more happy that Michigan won for Woodson than anything else. But I want to know who you got. And if you want to join Jeremy and I live for the Natty, hit that subscribe button, y'all. So coming up, the thing that a lot of people are forgetting. The thing that people are forgetting is a lot of times the most influential people in our own lives. Like, you know, you get a guy like Jim Harbaugh. He's already made all the money in the world. He's obviously a very, very wealthy man, right? But he's also probably at that point of his career where he's had a lot of success, and, you know, maybe he wants to do what wifey tells him. And don't get me wrong, like, I love y'all. I love y'all very, very much. But if my fiance Alex were to come up to me and say, hey, let's do this, that's really going to persuade my decision making. I think everybody out there, like, if you're married, you got a significant other, that's going to persuade your decision making. And one of the things that we talked about back on December 19th was that Harbaugh's wife has been pushing him to go back to Vegas. And when I say go back to Vegas, it's because that's where they met. Harbaugh met his wife in Las Vegas at a P.F. Chang's parking lot. And, I mean, that just sounds right out of a Hangover movie, if you ask me. But she was a real estate agent before marrying Harbaugh, and maybe she wants to go back to her old stomping grounds. Like, to me, if it really came down to the Bears, the Chargers, the Raiders, if wifey tells you, let's go to Las Vegas, and all these teams are probably willing to offer you similar amount of money, you also got to remember, you're probably going to make more with the Raiders because of income tax and all that. Why would you not go back to Las Vegas? Why would you not go back to where it all started for him in the NFL? He had a great job, great run at Michigan. Now's the time to go to the Raiders. So, like, here's my honest take on this, right? I love Antonio Pierce, man. That guy, he is a Raider through and through, and it's contagious. You have a guy like Antonio Pierce, I think that's how it is. It's contagious. And I love Antonio Pierce, and I think him and Champ Kelly should return in 2024. However, Harbaugh has always won wherever he's gone, and you can't really dispute that. If you're telling me right now, Mitch, we're either going to have Antonio Pierce or Jim Harbaugh as the next Raiders head coach in 2024, that's a just win, baby. I mean, that's a win. That's not a bad move. Like, if they hire AP over Harbaugh, I'm not going to be upset. I'm going to be celebrating, going crazy on this show. If they hire Harbaugh over Antonio Pierce, I'm not going to be upset. I'll feel bad for Antonio Pierce. I'll feel bad for that regime. I mean, we just got Jim Harbaugh, one of the best head coaches in NFL college football, and I'm going to be celebrating that as well. But the reason why you do have to consider the fact that he's won everywhere is because, like, that's what the Raiders need. They need somebody that has had proof that not only can they win one year, but they can build a program they can build and have success for the long run. And, Harbaugh, he first started at San Diego, and they were 8-2 before he got there. Then they went 7-4, 11-1, 11-1. It's the best San Diego football has ever been, was underneath Jim Harbaugh. Then Harbaugh at Stanford, the year before Harbaugh, the Cardinals, 1-11. Following year, 4-8, 5-7, 8-5, 12-1, right? Like, that's the Jim Harbaugh impact, where you bring him in, and he's going to transform some things. 6-10 before joining the 49ers, 13-3, 11-4, 12-4, 8-8. Also went to a Super Bowl. Then at Michigan, 5-7 before joining the Wolverines. I mean, think about what the success Michigan has had, and I think one of the reasons why they've had so much success, especially after COVID, is because you need somebody that knows how to not only be a head coach, but can be a leader of men and can run a solid organization and keep everything together. Like, what the Wolverines have been able to do the past 3 years, I mean, it shows me. I mean, the fact that you want a big testament. Like, don't get me wrong, I get Davante Adams stood up there and said, I want Antonio Pierce back. But man, you get some of these young players like a Blake Corum coming back for his senior year, like coming back to have a chance to win a national championship. And all those players, coaches, they were riding with Harbaugh through all the bullshit that went on this season. I got a lot of respect for Jim. And I think everybody out there should know that if it's between Jim Harbaugh and Antonio Pierce, man, it's good news for the Silver and Black. So here's going to be my question to all of y'all out there. Who's the better head coach, Antonio Pierce or Jim Harbaugh? Let me know down below. If you think it's AP, give me an AP. If you think it's Jim Harbaugh, I want you to type JH. I will be happy with both AP and Harbaugh, and I believe that the Raiders are going to hire one of these coaches. If you want my honest opinion, the more and more I've been around this situation, I thought Antonio Pierce, once he beat the Chiefs, it was his job. Hell, I stood up here on the show and said, it's his job. They're not going to bring in Harbaugh. From what I have heard over the past week, and from, again, it's not only just the talking, it's the hiring of Don Yee, Feinbaum saying he's leaving Michigan. I think that Mark Davis is going to go with the home run swing, as he always does. And if Jim Harbaugh is willing to come to the Raiders, that's going to be his number one pick. If that doesn't end up working out, then the fallback plan probably will be on Antonio Pierce. However, the reason why that's not great for the Raiders is because if it's a swing and miss on Harbaugh, Antonio Pierce is like, well, I was your pick number 2. And then that might mean like a guy like Patrick Graham might want to leave too because he doesn't know where the certainty of the Raiders goes. It's going to be an interesting thing. But luckily, we're going to have each other. We're going to keep it all going on throughout the offseason. And if you want to make sure that you know everything going on around the Raiders, you already know it. Hit that subscribe button. This one's rolling in from Urza Alvarado. Bang! What up, Urza? For that 5th spot for Raider Nation Familia and for a great 2024 season. Cheers to you out there, Urza, my man. And guess what? This race here is getting awfully interesting. All right, Jeremy, I've postponed this long enough.
That and a beer bong.
Oh, I'm more than aware. I'm going to probably have to do this boot, go take a quick pee, and then we will be back for more action here on the Raiders Report. All right, Chugs, how about you handle this? Let me knock back this bootski.
All right, this one coming in from Raiderman.
Hey, Raiderman.
Buffalo Soldier. Happy New Year, boys. If we hire Harbaugh, take the top defensive player available with our first pick, then his boy JJ with our next pick, even if it means trading up to get him. What do you think? Just win, baby. Mitch loves that idea. He co-signs that idea 100%. He would 100% want J.J. McCarthy.
I would hate that idea. I really would. Excuse me.
This is your guy, Raiderman. Every time he comes up, you say the same thing about his profile pic.
Love it. Absolutely love it. I don't want J.J. McCarthy. Like, I don't want any part of J.J. McCarthy in the NFL. He is a Alex Smith at best. I mean, at absolute best.
Alex Smith wasn't bad.
Yeah, but that's at best. Like, I think he's probably closer to a...
Petey's giving you a side eye right now. Petey said Alex Smith would be the best Raiders quarterback in the past 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Derek Carr in 2015, 2016 was an MVP quarterback.
Alex Smith has a 10-2 career record.
Sure. I mean, sure. But that's more to do with the Chiefs.
He was with the Niners for most of those.
Most of those, probably. With Harbaugh, probably. No, I would say, trying to think of a better QB comp. I don't think that he's the right man. Like, I'd rather Bo
I
Nix
kind of
is
agree with Petey. Alex Smith would be the best Raiders quarterback in the past 20 years.
He would. Derek Carr was better than Alex Smith at any point. Derek Carr from 2015, 2016 was better than Alex Smith ever was.
Really?
Yes.
All right, let's hop into our stats time machine really quick.
And that's coming from me, right? Like, I mean, Derek, once he got hurt, totally different quarterback. DC from 2015 to 2016 was better than Alex Smith ever was.
Alex Smith's last year with the Chiefs, over 4,000 yards, 26 touchdowns to only 5 interceptions.
Great.
Completion percentage of 67.5.
Great. Derek Carr was better. In 2015, 2016. Derek Carr in 2015, off the top of my head, I think it was 28 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. In 2016, 32 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. But he was the front runner to win MVP that year before he got hurt. Huh?
So was Carson Wentz. That is true.
Well, Carson Wentz, before he got injured, was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Just because DC got injured, that's why DC turned into what he is. But before that, Derek was good. I mean, he was. You can't argue that. Derek was a top 5 quarterback in 2015, 2016. He was.
My coworker
He
is
just
a
hasn't
Bears
been
fan,
anywhere close.
saying Crosby would go in a trade-up situation. I said he'd retire if that happened because that's a big FU. I don't think he would retire.
No, he wouldn't retire, but I can promise you this. He's not going. The Raiders will never trade Max Crosby. Will never trade Max Crosby. They won't. I'm telling you, they won't do it. Max and Mark are so well connected.
I wouldn't say never. The Colts released Peyton Manning. The 49ers got rid of Joe Montana. If those things can happen,
I'm saying right now.
Okay, yes, that is the right statement.
You're not moving on.
You said ever.
All right, fair. If Max Crosby's 34 years old,
yes,
still in the NFL.
Okay, yes.
But right now at 27 in his prime, I don't think.
What if it was this? What if it was only Max Crosby for the number 1 pick? You keep all your other draft capital. Everything's the same. It would never go through because the Bears wouldn't take that. Max Crosby alone for the number 1 pick. Would you do that trade?
Yes. I would. Raiders would. Raiders wouldn't. I mean, and I know a lot of people don't like that. Like Renee says, no. If you're telling me I have a chance to get my franchise quarterback, I would take that risk because, I mean, here's the thing. Like, if the Raiders win this week, they get to like.
And Lightning Shop said, I said the same thing about Khalil Mack. They've already done this same song and dance trading an amazing pass rusher.
Not the same. Max and Khalil, when Khalil was at his height compared to where Max is now, you could say is right there. Khalil might be higher because Defensive Player of the Year, but Khalil Mack never had the relationship with Mark Davis the way Max does. I'm telling you right now, there has never been a Raiders player closer to Mark Davis than Max Crosby. There's never been. They will not. Mark won't trade Max. Won't. I'm telling you. Won't.
Quadre.
I know you're trying to poke the bear. It's not happening.
Salute, soldier. Damn, either you should have been a lawyer or you feel for the smoke and mirrors. And he ends up in New England, one of those 5 quarterbacks coming out. Oh, he's saying Jim Harbaugh ends up in New England.
I mean, here's what's funny. I disagree with this because it's been reported that there's 3 coaches right now in line for the next Patriots gig, which has been Bill O'Brien, Matt Patricia, and Josh McDaniels. Like, those have been the 3 coaches that regime has been thrown out there more than anyone. I'm promising y'all right now, if the New England Patriots hire Josh McDaniels to be their head coach, I'm going live here. We're going live. You got to go live. You got to go live. And I hope, oh my God, I hope. Dude, McDaniels in New England?
All right. Need you to do that beer bong real quick.
Holy shit, I know.
And then you can go to the restroom and we'll get to this next segment.
How about I go to the restroom and then I do that beer bong?
Let's see what the chat has to say.
All right, that's fair.
Does he do the beer bong before or after going to the restroom?
Oh, tits.
Type B for before, type A for after. What should Mitch do? You are the decision makers here in the chat. Do you want him to go do the beer bong before, type B,
Willie
or
Fiska,
after,
you
type
in.
A?
Michael Allen, you in. And then Anthony Green, you in. If you don't know what you're in for, $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365 for a chance to win as it stands right now, 120. I don't even have to look. I already know what the votes are, so I'm going to look just for the case. You know, shout out to Sienna that said, let Mitch pee. It's close, though. I'm not going to lie.
Let my people pee.
All right. I got a beer bong here, then. Shout out to the nation. Shout out to the nation. This is it's going to get interesting. Who you got?
There we go.
So spicy.
All right, Mitch is going to go run and drain the main vein real quick. Yeah, might be more of a walk. But let me know who you got. W for Washington, M for Michigan. And is Alex Smith the best Raiders quarterback of all time? You know, Mitch, Petey had a great idea earlier. I'll go to the restroom first. I'll tell you after. Petey had a great idea, and I think we should use it for Raiders. With the duck race, Petey. A Russell. Thoughts? I like it. Scott, wash your hands, Mitch. Don't forget to wash your hands. You nasty. Washington or Michigan. I think Michigan's going to win this. I think their roster is overall the best roster in college football right now, other than the Georgia Bulldogs. I think the only team that could beat Michigan this year was going to be Georgia. As somebody who doesn't love the SEC, I have to admit the SEC, they are the top dogs in college football, even though they have teams like, you know, Tennessee and Mississippi State. Like, the bottom feeders of college football are in there. But they have the top dogs as well with Georgia and Alabama. So, I think the only team that could beat Michigan is Georgia. I think Washington will get theirs. They're going to be able to score. But I still think Michigan has just the overall better roster. I love Penix. 100%. Michael Penix, he's 101. I watched Kenny Stabler enough, said Gary. Giovanni said, whoa! Thoughts on Brendan Rice from USC, says, is that Gio? I think you asked that last week. Let me know who you got. We're going to be live for this matchup. I do think Penix is a better quarterback than J.J. McCarthy, but the only thing is, I think Michigan has a better running game. Washington's running back got hurt at the end of that Texas game. If you remember, the reason why Texas was almost able to come back and win that game, their running back got hurt on their last offensive play and had to be carted off the field. So, will that play a factor in the national title game? We'll have to see and find out. This game, the game's on Monday, Sienna, and we'll be live for the game as well. We'll be going live on the channel here for that game. Thoughts on 20-year-old Quinn Ewers? I think he's going back to college. If you ask me. Quinn Ewers. All right, back from his pee break.
Oh, dude. I put a hole in that urinal. We have to get a new one.
So, this
get a new one.
This is the idea Petey had.
All right, I'm listening.
I can't take any credit for it. Our Browns host / Broncos host, boo this man Petey, had this great idea that for our next duck race giveaway, when we do a jersey giveaway, first place gets something.
Okay.
And so does last place. I think the person who gets in last place for our next jersey giveaway deal, we should give them something signed by Jamarcus Russell.
And the problem is I'd have to find something signed by Jamarcus Russell. If you came in last place, would you want, I mean, that's the thing though. Would anybody want it? Would anybody want it? I don't know. Would you guys want that? Sienna says, I like the idea. I like the idea of somebody in last getting something. But I guess, if you come in last, it's got to be a shitty thing.
Right? Jamarcus Russell.
We just what if we signed a piece of toilet paper? Would you guys take a signed piece of toilet paper? What would you rather have? A Jamarcus Russell signed something, type J for Jamarcus, or a signed square toilet paper piece from Jeremy Chuggs? I'm going to just go ahead and say I think people would rather have that. All right, so J for Jeremy. No, that's not going to work. J for Jamarcus, C for Chuggs. What would you guys rather have?
Or
honest question.
We can send them a Jamarcus Russell Topps rookie card.
Here's the thing. People would rather have you sign a piece of toilet paper than Jamarcus Russell anything.
Do we send them a blank VHS with Jamarcus Russell's face on it?
Bro, that'd be funny. What if we sent you guys a blank VS tape? Jamarcus Russell's face on it. Signed by Chuggs and I. Where do you even get VHS tapes anymore?
I could buy a blank VHS tape.
You think? You're going to go to your local Blockbuster, walk in, grab a movie, maybe a video game for your Xbox or PS2?
Amazon right now, I can get a blank VHS tape. You can buy them.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Dude. All right, we're going to have to let's get some blank VHS tapes.
We can get a 3-pack for $20.
A 3-pack for $20? Dude, I like it. Feathery Mars says, Chuggs TP, what if it's used?
You'll have to go to my Only Chugs for that.
I mean, there's only one way to find out.
I don't remember having any corn.
Oh, man. That's TMI.
Alfredo, and is that Gio? I see your question. We haven't done our draft prep yet. So I'm not going to answer that question. I see it once the season's over, once me and Mitch do more of our draft prep, actually look into some of these guys, then we'll answer your question. Right now, me and Mitch, we don't have the right knowledge on Brendan Rice from USC to give you that knowledge.
I mean, I know a lot of y'all in the West Coast, watch a lot of the guys on a lot of those West Coast games. However, I'm always a very honest person on the show. I will not answer a question. Not that I won't answer it. If you ask me something that I legitimately don't know what it is about, and we don't start our draft process here at Chat Sports until as soon as the season ends, that's when we're going to start, because this year's a little bit different, I think, for the Raiders.
All I know is that
Like all I know are quarterbacks.
All I
That's
know
all
is
I know right now.
I believe
quarterbacks in the top 20.
I might be wrong. I think he's related to Jerry Rice, and I know he's a wide receiver for USC.
Yeah, Kobe
I
Carson.
haven't watched his tape.
Yeah, I will get more time for my work schedule to be able to like look at prospects and give you guys my honest feedback.
Holy shit.
But I don't want to give you an answer based on right now me not really knowing a lot, and then somebody's like, oh well, this is what you said back in January 4th. No.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Jerry Rice's son.
Yeah. Cool. I'll look into him. We'll look into him.
Alfredo.
If Harbaugh becomes the next coach, you think he tries to convince Brady to come out of retirement to play quarterback? No, Brady's done.
Martin says, how about we send an email from John Gruden?
Oh, Martin. Never cease to amaze me. Also, Martin, my cousin is moving to England, so I told her to come find you.
She is now. Following that boy.
Following the dream.
Really?
Following the dream. Oh,
Since when?
I'm not going to get it. I'll tell you after the show, everything going on, but yeah, she's going to England.
Wow.
So now I'm going to need a place to stay when I go to Vegas. So if anybody lives out in Vegas, hit me up. No, but Brady's done. He's not going to be coming back to the NFL. It doesn't make sense for Brady to come back to the NFL, nor would I want Brady back in the NFL. Like, the Raiders got to go QB in the draft. Like, I'll make a video probably next week.
Or Joe Flacco.
Oh, Christ. I'll make a video next week about the top quarterback options for the Raiders this offseason.
Would Joe Flacco be the best Raiders quarterback in the past 20 years? Petey?
Ah, man.
Would Joe Flacco be the best Raiders quarterback in the past 20 years?
The only reason why I'll say yes to that is because he's won a Super Bowl.
Would Joe Flacco be the best Raiders quarterback in the past 20 years?
Yeah, I agree with that one. Super Bowl. Super Bowl. I mean, I don't care. I don't like Joe Flacco, but what he was able to do in that one playoff run, if you told Raider fans, hey, I can get one playoff run like what Joe Flacco had that year back in 2012 when they won the Super Bowl.
People forget the only reason they won that Super Bowl is because the Texans got rid of Jacoby Jones and the Ravens picked him up.
I'm not going to go that far. He was amazing.
It should have been the MVP of the game. The longest ever touchdown in Super Bowl history, 109 kickoff return, and he had maybe one of the most insane catches of the game where he made two guys miss and went in for a touchdown.
I mean, I think Flacco, though, that postseason was like 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, he was in his bag. He was unbelievable. He was unbelievable.
Jacoby Jones got robbed from the MVP of that Super Bowl. You can't convince me otherwise.
No way. I can't convince you.
Dude, an opening second half kickoff return for a touchdown?
I hear you, but it's a quarterback award, which is why I hate it. I hear you out, man. I mean, that's like
you take Jacoby Jones away from that game, the 49ers win.
I think if the lights don't go out, the 49ers win. Honestly, I do. I remember watching that game. I was a sophomore in college. Man. That's a throwback if I've ever heard one. All right, y'all. Coming up here on the Raiders Report, we are going to get in. Now, what's the next segment? It's going to be around Patrick Graham, little Antonio Pierce action. Also, the Raiders, they just put out their Week 18 injury report. Michael Mayer, Josh Jacobs, Thayer Munford all did not practice. I'm going to tell you all this right now. 0% chance Michael Mayer plays in this game. I don't really think you're ever going to see Josh Jacobs in a Raiders jersey ever again. He's not going to be playing in this game.
Does Crosby go for the record?
Dude, I would love for Crosby to get the record. He's at 14 and a half, needs 2 sacks. Needs 2.
Or does he sit out because of
He won't sit out. Will not sit out. He's good now. He's not a problem anymore. He's good.
I find that hard to believe.
Well,
I mean, he's still going to have surgery on it.
He's still going to have off-season surgery. However, the bacteria in his knee that was the worry, that's not there anymore. They were able to get rid of all the bacteria.
Ah,
Okay.
I see.
Wait a minute here. I just got another one in. Jesse Patrick, you in. Jesse Patrick, you in.
Yoda said Saragusa ends Gannon's season during the AFC Championship. Yeah.
That one was brutal. That was really, really brutal. I do see a few more super chats, which we can get to after this next segment here. And we still got 2 more segments to roll through here on the Raiders Report. And then after that, if you guys want to get really, really weird, we absolutely can. I'm sure you guys can already tell I'm a little litty-titty right now. So if you watch these videos on a later date, just know what y'all already did to me. So keep that in mind. But coming up here next on the Raiders Report, we're going to talk a little bit about Patrick Graham, Antonio Pierce, all that good stuff. And if you haven't already, man, make sure you click that like button. Believe it or not, that type of stuff does help us out a lot here. I mean, I know, when we were, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 subscribers, and we lived off of people would comment, people would like. It's why we do our show the way that we do. We've always wanted to be interactive. I know that not every single person can super chat. Obviously, we appreciate super chats. We bang the hell out of them.
Tony Saragusa was not 600 pounds.
Not 600. No way. 350? 300?
Anthony Green just said Tony was 600 back in the day.
What do you think is the largest NFL player ever? Off the top of your head. Because I have a name in mind, but he's probably like 400. Like, there's never been an NFL player 500 pounds. No way.
No.
I have one name.
Towards the end of his career.
Somebody actually just said it in the chat, too.
Oh, no, I wasn't thinking of him. I was thinking of, what's his face? Also played defensive tackle. Oh, okay. End of his career, whenever he was unhealthy, Albert Hainsworth.
That's a good name. That's a really good name. Yeah, I was thinking Vince Wilfork the entire way. Now, some of y'all are probably going like old school on me. Some of y'all are probably going to go old school on me.
Vita Vea is probably up there.
He's a big dude. Terrell Brown. William Perry. I've heard that. Gilbert Brown is another one.
According to
I'm
Wikipedia,
listening. Yep.
Aaron Gibson was the heaviest NFL player of all time, weighing a whopping 410 pounds, and he weighed 440 in high school.
So he was heavier in high school than he was in the NFL.
Yes.
440 pounds in high school. Imagine you, high school senior, going up against a 440-pound man.
Next up, Nate Newton, 401 pounds.
Sienna, what'd I say?
The Fridge is 4th at 382. You know who's also on this list? Trent Brown.
That doesn't surprise me. That piece of
380.
shit. Trent Brown sucks. Oh, my God, I can't stand Trent Brown. Dude made $76,000 a snap for the Raiders.
All right. Let's get into this next segment. Or
right.
else we're going to be here till midnight.
Yeah, it's going to be a marathon tonight. I can tell you that. Coming up.
Watch out, Alex.
No, she'll kill me. Oh, all right. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, y'all. Next segment coming up here on the Raiders Report around Antonio Pierce, Patrick Graham. Also sponsor is PrizePicks.
Yeah.
I don't have picks, so kind of do what you did in the build-up.
Yeah, no, for sure.
All right, sounds good. Coming up, let's get into it. All right, y'all, I want you to get in the comments right now because whether or not Patrick Graham or Antonio Pierce return next season, I want them to know that the nation's got their back. Man, I love Patrick Graham, what he has been able to do for this defense. I love the energy that Antonio Pierce brings. Makes me want to run through a mother effing wall every time that dude talks. So before this video gets going, before you watch it, take a second. Take 2 seconds. Scroll on down. Spam PG. Spam AP. Because to me, they have done a lot of amazing, amazing things for the Raiders and also Raider Nation. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up on today's show, did Patrick Graham and Davante Adams reveal the fact that the Las Vegas Raiders are moving on from this coaching staff? On today's show, I'm going to go through a lot of quotes. I'm going to give you my opinion on a lot of the things that have happened this week. But you guys know what I always say here. Smoke, fire, actions speak louder than words. But I do think that these words that Patrick Graham and Davante Adams said are definitely worth listening to. So let's go here to Patrick Graham, what he had to say this week at the podium. And he was pretty emotional while saying all these things. I told the guys the other day, and I'm not going to get emotional. I promise you that. But I've had the most fun this year coaching this group of players than I have had my whole career, plain and simple. Not taking anything away from the guys I've coached before, but their growth, how they have improved, how they've embraced myself, the coaches, the turmoil that we have faced, and how they laid it out there on the line for us, starting with our leader, Max Crosby. When I heard this speech from Patrick Graham, and I remember watching it live, and the entire time I watched it live, and I know I'm not the only Raiders fan that believes this, and if you feel this exact same way, click that like button right now. But when Patrick Graham said that, the tone, the body language, and I know he said he wasn't emotional, but I mean, come on, man. Like, he was a person. That's why I love AP and PG. Like, they talk to us like people. I don't want coach speak. I don't like coach speak. That's bullshit. It's wasting my time. Patrick Graham, Antonio Pierce have always told it to us the exact way that you want to hear it. But man, oh man, him saying that, it really truly sounded like a goodbye to me. And I think that he knows potentially what's going to be coming next here for the Las Vegas Raiders. So coming up here on the Raiders Report, the smoke leading up to Patrick Graham's speech. For people who watch the show all the time, for the real ones out there, if you're a real one, give me an RO4L down below. But like, when you follow the timeline here, and then that speech happens, actions speak louder than words, bro. And the actions that have led up to that speech really make me wonder, have the Raiders already told Patrick Graham, this Raiders staff, of what's going to happen in 2024? If you want Patrick Graham to return next season, though, hit that subscribe button, because I'll tell you this right now, I want PG back. This Raiders defense is playing lights out football. It's the first time since 2002, y'all. 2002, the Raiders had a Super Bowl caliber team. You got a Super Bowl caliber defense. If you believe in defense wins championships, then why would you not try to do everything in your power to bring back Patrick Graham next season? What scares me is you bring in a new head coach, they're going to bring in a brand new regime, which is why I'm wondering, is that why PG was as upset as what he is? But here's the thing, man. I've always been the biggest supporter of Patrick Graham. This is a video that I did 11 months ago. It was a video 11 months ago because I was so sick and tired of people saying, oh, Patrick Graham stinks. The Raiders defense stinks. No, it doesn't. The defense last season ran by Patrick Graham from weeks 11 to 16 when they were healthy was an outstanding defense. And then a month ago, I made another video. The Raiders need to make sure that they keep Patrick Graham in 2024. When the Raiders did all their hiring cycles back in 2022, I hated McDaniels. Like Dave Ziegler, loved Patrick Graham. Great coach, great human being, but he's a great teacher. And to me, that's something that people just don't talk about enough. And I think that's why the Raiders defense has been as good as what it has been. You have a great coach, you have a great leader, but a great teacher in Patrick Graham. And I really, really want him back next season. If you missed those videos, it's probably because you're not subscribed. Hit that subscribe button. I promise you, we keep you up to date here on the Raiders Report. So coming up here, the smoke leading up to Patrick Graham's speech, because there's been a lot of it. Like, there has been. And I know that a lot of people are busy during the holidays. And I know a lot of people maybe miss certain things. And I know some people get a little bit wild with us once in a while here on the show. But let's look at this quick timeline here real quick. So on December 31st, the Raiders lose to the Colts. And, you know, a week before that, you beat the Chiefs on Christmas. We're hooting and hollering. AP's the coach. This staff is staying all beautiful, right? Then you lose to Indianapolis in a pretty rough game. The defense had probably their worst game that they've had, minus the Chiefs game, but it was one of the worst games that the Raiders have had defensively. They only gave up 23 points. Defense still played well, but it still wasn't a great game. Then December 31st, also, Harbaugh hires Don Yee. So the Raiders lose to Indianapolis. Harbaugh hires Don Yee, who is very well connected to Tom Brady, very well connected to a bunch of people here in the Raiders organization, very well connected to a lot of Raiders players in this Raiders organization. January 1st rolls around. Michigan beats Alabama. And one of the best college football games that I have ever watched. Michigan down 20-13 in the fourth quarter against Nick Saban. Hell, I remember looking over to my fiance Alex being like, this game's over. This is a Bama game. Nope. Jim Harbaugh outcoached them, got a big-time win in overtime, and you got to be able to pay those dues, man. Like, you really got to be able to pay those dues. January 2nd, Patrick Graham gives his, I'm going to call it a goodbye speech because that's what it sounded like to me. I'm not going to sit up here and say that that Patrick Graham, I used to call Paul Gunther PG, that Patrick Graham was saying goodbye. That's not what I'm saying. But when you sit down and you listen to the speech, I'm talking man-to-man here, it sounded like a goodbye speech. It really, truly did to me. And then January 2nd, Davante Adams saying that we won AP. To me, when you think about Colts loss, Harbaugh hires Don Yee, well connected to the Raiders. Michigan beats Bama. PG sits up there and says like a goodbye speech. And then Davante making it very well known that they want Antonio Pierce. Like, I don't know if Davante Adams says what he says. And I think actually this happened on January 3rd. But I don't think Davante says that unless there are legit rumblings in that locker room. Legit rumblings in that facility. Legit rumblings. Rumors that the Raiders are going to be moving on this offseason. Not because they don't like PG, not because they don't like AP, but because they want Jim Harbaugh. So, like, when I hear all that kind of stuff and I see that speech, I'm like, did they just reveal to us, without actually revealing to us, that the Raiders are going to be moving on from this entire coaching staff in 2024? Coming up, I'll give you the exact quote of what Davante Adams had to say, and then I'm also going to tell you some other very interesting things that I don't think you want to miss. But I do got to give a shout out to today's sponsor, PrizePicks. It's daily fantasy sports made easy, and I love PrizePicks because PrizePicks to me it's probably my favorite sponsor I've ever had here on the Raiders Report, because when you think about how much this show has grown, and again, if you've been around here since 10K subs, 20K subs, a lot of y'all know that I was a fantasy football guy way back in my day, and the fact that we finally have the #1 daily fantasy sports app out there wanting to sponsor the Raiders Report, I mean, I'm telling you all right now, I could sit up here right now and just say, if you don't try PrizePicks, well, like, you go after yourself, right? Like, that's how much I love PrizePicks, because to me, PrizePicks just solidifies what we have been able to do here on this show. But if you're like, Mitch, why should I get started? Well, if you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and you use code CLNS, you're going to get a $100 deposit match for those first-time people getting started. And all you got to do is pick 2 or plus players and choose more or less. If my dad can sit down, I shouldn't say my mom. If my dad can sit down and he can put in a lineup in less than 60 seconds, if my fiance Alex is like, hey, can we play PrizePicks before watching a big-time game? I mean, she knows it too. You put down $10, you have a chance to win up to 25 times your money. It's simple, it's easy, and most importantly, to me, the most valuable thing in life is time. If you could take 3 hours of your day, okay, and be 100% occupied for, let's say, $10, but you have a chance to win $250 while also being occupied, I mean, that is literally the best money that you could possibly spend. I mean, I think about some of the times that Alex and I, we go out for dinner, we go out for drinks, we do what we want to do, and you're going to spend a lot more. But there's also some really, really nice nights, and Alex and I have had a lot of awesome dates where we go more or less on a few players that she wants to put some money on, and she's so locked into the football game, she's starting to learn a lot more. I'm telling you right now, if you got a significant other, you got a child, you got somebody that you're like, I really want to learn football with them, or like, I want to teach them the game. Get started with PrizePicks. It's a win-win scenario. You're going to win spending time with them. They're going to love it because there's a chance to win some money. Shit, give them the money even if you win it. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Just make sure that you use code CLNS. That way PrizePicks knows that we sent you. All right, coming up here is what Davante Adams had to say about Antonio Pierce. And to me, it's very, very important for Mark Davis to listen to Davante. And yesterday I made a quick video. Chugs was off, so I made a quick, at-home style video around Davante Adams, everything that he said. If you already watched that video, I salute you. But here's one thing that's clear. Davante Adams wants Antonio Pierce. And during the January 3rd press conference, Davante said, me and many of my fellow teammates want Antonio Pierce to be the coach next season. Tay believes AP has done a phenomenal job, and I do think that here's going to be the problem with Mark Davis is that he's going to face is he didn't hire Rich Bisaccia when the Raiders were 7-5. They went to the playoffs, and everybody in that locker room wanted Papa Bisaccia back. Moved on from him, decided to hire Josh McDaniels. I'm telling you right now, if Mark Davis does not hire Antonio Pierce and decides to hire somebody else, that team, that head coach, better win in year one. Like, it's not a rebuild process because I'm telling you right now, if this coaching staff, ownership, whoever it is, if they ignore Davante Adams again, I think it's going to be bad news. It's going to be bad news. It's going to send a bad message out there to everyone where you traded the first and a second round pick. You made Davante Adams the highest paid wide receiver in the National Football League. All he asked for last offseason was to have a say in who's going to be the next quarterback. Well, guess what? Dave Ziegler has come out and said he didn't want Jimmy Garoppolo. Josh McDaniels said, I don't give an F of what Ziegler says. I don't care what Davante Adams says. I'm going to go with Jimmy Garoppolo because that's what I want. If you put another slap in the face to Davante Adams, anything is possible. So when Davante said this on AP, I hope that the Raiders are listening. It's obvious who I wanted, and he's my vote. I've been vocal about that, and that's basically how the whole locker room feels, and with good reason. He's come in and done a great job. He's continued to win us over. It's not just the comfortable thing. I think having AP here would be good for this organization. He embodies what it means to be a Raider, that mentality, that swag, all the things that he endorses are the things that I believe in. Definitely, I'm rooting for him. And I think everybody watching the show right now understands that, yes, I agree with what Davante said. I think Antonio Pierce has done a phenomenal job. And I don't expect Antonio Pierce to be able to change the Raiders' offense, an offense built by a clown. I'm not going to sit up here and judge him that. To me, I'm gonna judge AP based on his job. Like, he's the defensive-minded coach. Patrick Graham, this Raiders defense was one of the best Raiders defenses in the league. Like, they were probably like top 10-ish. Since AP has taken over, they are no doubt top 5. They are a no doubt top 5 by almost every single metric you can look at in the NFL, going up against the Miami Dolphins, the Kansas City Chiefs, like good offenses in the league, right? That's on paper. So, like, I get what Davante is saying. And there has to be a good reason Davante decided to speak up the same day Patrick Graham seemed to say goodbye. Like, that is one of those actions where Patrick Graham on January 2nd basically gives his goodbye speech. Davante Adams the next day is basically saying, hey, I want Antonio Pierce. A few days before that, the whole Jim Harbaugh thing happens. There has to be some rumblings of why all of these things are happening right now. But one of the best parts about the Raiders Report is the interaction with the fans. And one of the best things about this show is tough questions, because when we started the show, I wanted to come up with an idea of a show where it's like, I don't want to just be up here talking to myself. Like, I see Tony Collins, David, Matthew, Sienna all watching the show live right now, and I appreciate the hell out of that. But I wanted to think of a show where it's like me and my buddies hanging out, me and my family having a real-life conversation. And realistically, this question that I'm going to ask you probably is never going to happen. However, though, if you could only keep one, if it came between Antonio Pierce and Patrick Graham, which one would you pick? It's a tough question. It's a really, really tough question. Believe me, I would like to type 12. Hell, I'd type 21. Either way to keep both of these guys. But if you could only keep one, Antonio Pierce as head coach or Patrick Graham as defensive coordinator, what would you do? Type 1 for Antonio Pierce, type 2 for Patrick Graham as defensive coordinator. Now, for those that aren't watching live, you're about to get hit with the YouTube ad break. Scroll on down. Let me know my answer after this ad break. My answer, which may be an unpopular opinion, and I love Antonio Pierce, But here's me being real with you. One of the biggest reasons why I want AP back is because I'm hoping if AP comes back, that means we keep Patrick Graham. The Raiders defense with PG, it's been good for a while. And unfortunately, I think the nation is sleeping on how great of a job Pierce has done, because think about how much money McDaniel spent on the offensive side of the football. Think about how much this organization has ignored the defensive side of the football. And what Patrick Graham did last season was a phenomenal job. He did a great job last season. This year, it's been on a whole nother level. And now with the addition of Antonio Pierce, you went from being great to elite. And that's what being a Super Bowl team is about. Taking a good team to a great team to an elite team. And Patrick Graham took a shitty defense, turned it into a good defense last season, turned it into a great defense this season, and now with Antonio Pierce, it's an elite defense. And that is why I actually believe that keeping Patrick Graham is more important than keeping Antonio Pierce for the Las Vegas Raiders. However, I am hoping that both Antonio Pierce and Patrick Graham are back for 2024. All right, Chugs, let's roll through some super chats here on today's show. I got to change my jersey, which I'm a little bit nervous about, because I know the jersey I'm about to put on, he has told me that he wants to be on Mount Raider more. So, we'll see if he's here. We're going to test him out a little bit. I got to change into a new jersey, though.
Raiderman. Yo, Raiderman. Come on, Mitch. I'm sorry if we get Harbaugh. I think it's a good chance he takes his boy JJ in the draft. I think his stock is only going to get better. Just win, baby. I mean, I don't doubt if you draft or if you hire Harbaugh, he'll probably have something to say about the quarterback who comes to this organization, and that might very well be one J. McCarthy.
Oh boy. I would say this. I actually don't like. I think there's a better chance if Jim Harbaugh is the next head coach of the Raiders that he drafts Blake Corum than J.J. McCarthy.
You think?
Based on where I think that the players should go, if the Raiders draft J.J. McCarthy in round 1 or 2, I will throw up. He's not a round 1 or 2 quarterback. He's not. If you want to draft J.J. in round 3, again, I still think then you got to sign another quarterback then in free agency. J.J. is not ready to start in the NFL. He's not even close to ready to start. You want to sign a cheap free agent QB, cool. But then I don't like that idea. To me, if right now the Raiders are somewhere around pick 75 in the 3rd round, I would rather you take Blake Corum at 75 than J.J. McCarthy at 75. I would. To me, the Raiders will have to draft a QB next season. Josh Jacobs is not going to be coming back. I don't think it makes any sense for the Raiders to bring him back, nor I think Jacobs is going to get more money somewhere else. And I don't want Zamir to be the only bell cow.
Gary, I'm really sorry to hear that. He said, Chugs, can you give a shout-out to my friend Danny, who passed away from a car accident on New Year's Eve? That's actually part of the reason I never go out on New Year's Eve. I usually stay home or try to stay around because of the craziness. Sorry to hear that, Gary.
Gary, that's heartbreaking, man. It's I think one thing that we've really tried to do on this show, even honestly, man, even before the rug situation, is here's the thing about being an adult. Chugs and I, we get crazy on this show, but I promise you this: there's a reason why. I haven't bought a home yet. One, it's because I want to live closer to work so I can walk to work. I walk to work every day. Now, some days, don't get me wrong, when I get twisted, we get an Uber, I go home. You will never catch me drinking and driving. Never do it, man. I've lost a few really good friends. When you live in a small town, where I live right now, Uber doesn't exist. My hometown back home, Uber's not a thing.
Really?
So, no, it's not a thing. You got to order a taxi a week in advance. Uber's not a thing in my hometown. So a lot of times people, they drink and drive. The amount of my good friends that have at least one DUI, it's insane. But it's, again, small town. People wait for it. People know where people are going to be. I will never drink and drive, man. And then when the whole thing with Henry Ruggs happened, it's so easy in today's day and age to just get an Uber, get a Lyft. And I know some people are like, oh, I got to spend that extra $25 on an Uber home. Oh, I got to spend an extra $30 on my Uber ride home after having a night of drinks. Sure, or you can spend $10,000 paying off a DUI ticket. Like,
Or
it's a no-brainer to me. Or even worse.
Yeah.
Even worse. Don't drink and drive, y'all.
sorry to hear
Gary.
that. We're going to get into this next segment because we are running a little bit behind.
Yep.
Last reminder to get in on the 50-50 raffle. After this next segment, we'll be going directly into our 50-50 raffle. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be getting into that in just after the segment.
All right. I also saw, I got my Mask 80 on. I saw that OC Raiders said my jersey for another $100. So OC, I'm going to wear the Mask 80 on this segment that I'm about to film. And then as soon as that gets done, you want to bang, I'll put on the jersey. But I'm not doing a boot. One beer bong.
Beer bong in a jersey?
Beer bong in a jersey, no boot.
Bong in a blintz?
For a $100 after this segment. And then
Smoking a pancake?
we'll get a little bit rowdy here. We'll get a little bit rowdy because
Crepe in a cigar?
if we...
Waffle in a bong?
I'll give you my deal later. All right, y'all, final call here for a chance to win a little bit of money. So, we already got the deal. This one's rolling in from OC Raider Bang! Shout out to OC Raider, man. OC, I'll put on your jersey. Honestly, we'll probably bang again here in a little bit. And then I'll do the beer bong after this segment. If y'all don't spam OC, who right now is leading our January bang race with 3. Man, I don't know what you're waiting for. Spam OC, I see Sienna, Ron Raspberry, Urza, down in the chat, Brian Folsom, Eric M., Russell Lovato, Luis Rodriguez, Rao, Brandon, Jasper. Shout out to the great Tuna. Tuna, I don't know how long you've been here, ma'am. Shout out to Mount Raider more. Here is our January bang race. It's a good one. I've had to burp a lot. We got a lot of burps. Luis Rodriguez said, also, I'm in, Mitch. All right, well, let me refresh my phone real quick. Let me see here. The last name that I got was Jesse Patrick, which means Stuart Viator in. Hopefully I pronounced that right. And then Luis Rodriguez in. If you don't know, $20 Venmo for a chance to win right now, $150. $150 to the winner. Good luck to all of y'all out there. All right, Mr. Chugs. We got one more segment to do, and then we can get a little bit rowdy for about 30 minutes. How does that sound? Depending on what you guys want, depending on how I'm feeling, because I'll tell you what, I'm a little lit tit right now. My titties are lit. I'm surprised that you can't see. Eric M., if Penix wins the Natty, he will go top 5. No chance. Imagine we get Harbaugh, he drafts Penix, the QB that beat him in the Natty. I'm telling you right now, Michael Penix Jr., he's not going top 15. I would bet, Eric, I would bet you $1,000 that he doesn't go top 5. No way.
Oh, I thought you were about to say top 15. I was like, dude.
No, I'd bet $1,000 he doesn't go top 5. I would bet anybody out there $100 he doesn't go top 15. I would bet a boot he doesn't go round 1. I don't think he goes top 40. And again, it's recency bias. Once the medical checks come out, he's going to fail his medical exam for the NFL Combine.
No, he won't.
Well,
all that stuff happened 2 years ago.
It doesn't matter, though. That doesn't matter. There's been players that have failed medical exams that have been healthy for multiple years, but they might have a old knee injury. Like Penix has back issues. He's had, again, I don't think Penix passes what NFL teams would want a quarterback to be at 24 who's undersized. I don't think that he's going to go in round 1 because of the medical, because of his past injuries. He's got a
You think he's undersized at 6'3"?
Wait. I think he's pretty slim.
At 215?
Yeah, it's actually a lot heavier than what I thought. I'll give it to you.
At 6'3", 215? I would say that's adequately sized.
Oh, he's definitely well. I actually thought he was a lot lighter than that. I thought he was like 195.
Nah.
215, he's got the size. The injuries, though, man, they do scare me. Giovanni, I hear you. We'll see. I'll do a little bit more homework on Penix. He's been phenomenal to watch. But I'm telling you right now, I don't think he goes in round 1. The medicals are what scare a lot of NFL teams off. Whether that's fair or not, but we'll see. All right, y'all. Sounds like I got to do more homework on Michael Penix Jr. Coming up next here on the show, I'm going to give you a Week 18 rooting guide. Week 18 rooting guide, plus we're going to look at the Raiders, Broncos, Week 18 preview. I don't really have, keys to victory, more of what I'm going to be watching for in this game, because win, lose, or tie, I think no matter what, the Raiders can come out as winners in this game. Let's put it like that. All right, y'all, if you haven't already, Raider Bill, how you feeling, Mitch? I'm pretty good. I feel pretty good. All right, y'all, coming up right now, let's get into this preview, and then let's go a little bit wild here on the Raiders Report. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. It's Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports. And coming up on today's show, I'm going to give you a little Raiders versus Broncos preview, but more importantly, it's what I'm watching for. I get it. The Raiders can't make the playoffs this season, but I do think that these are the type of games that mean a lot for the offseason. If I'm an owner, if I'm a head coach, if I'm anybody making important decisions, I want players that go out there and give me 100%. I want Raider mentality in a game that technically doesn't mean anything. Also, I'm going to give you a Week 18 rooting guide in terms of what's going to help the Raiders get a better draft pick in 2024. For those that do not know, we will be live for this Week 18 matchup. Raiders at home against the Denver Broncos. It has been, from the moment I am making this video right now, 1,467 days since the Broncos have beaten the Las Vegas Raiders. In fact, they've never beaten the Las Vegas Raiders. The last time the Broncos beat the Silver and Black, you got to go all the way back to December 29th, 2019. It's been a long, long time, and man, I really want to keep that streak going. On top of that, it's my mom's birthday on January 7th, so we're going to do a special thing for moms. But here's my honest question out there, because I know it's a weird thing to ask, but I do think that this is a question that is going to be asked this week, because this game doesn't mean anything this season. Do you want the Raiders to beat the Broncos in Week 18? Yes, or I want you to type no. And it sounds insane. There's going to be people that type those no's. And if you're one of those people, it's okay. I'm not going to hate on you. But do you want the Raiders to beat the Broncos? Yes or no? For me personally, I never want the Raiders to lose, especially to the Broncos. However, if they do lose, then the Raiders get a better draft pick. So I mean it. I'm watching this game this week, and hopefully y'all are watching it with me, with the mindset of it's a win-win, where if the Raiders beat the Broncos, F Sam, FDEN, we keep that streak going, and I love that. I love being able to tell Bronco fans, y'all have never beat the Las Vegas Raiders. On top of that, though, if they do lose this football game, you get a better draft pick. Here's real talk. If there's a single Raiders fan that watches this video and you want Las Vegas to draft Caleb Williams, Drake May, or Jaden Daniels, you probably should answer that no, you don't want the Raiders to win. Because bottom line is this: if the Raiders beat the Broncos this week, you're not getting Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, or Drake May. The only way that you're getting one of those three quarterbacks is if a trade is involved with Davante Adams. That's a fact, whether you like to hear it or not. However, though, I do hope that you join us for our watch party. We're going to be getting started about what time is it? An hour early before kickoff. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you turn on those notifications. And I can't ever promise you whether or not the Raiders win or lose. But you know what I can promise you? We're going to bring you that Oakland tailgate feel. I miss partying in Oakland. I miss tailgating in Oakland. And when we made this show, man, I remember going out to my first Oakland tailgate in 2019. I was like, if I could recreate that on YouTube or in a podcast, I would love to be able to do it. And I feel like we do a really freaking good job of that. So if you missed the Oakland days, subscribe, join us. It's going to be wild for the final game of this season. So here's what I'm watching for the Raiders. Probably one of the most important things is who's giving 100%. Like, I want to see which players are out there legitimately fighting for their jobs next season. There's going to be a lot of dudes that are vying for jobs, but I also want to see a guy like Davante Adams. I want to see a guy like Max Crosby. Hell, I hope Max Crosby breaks the single-season record for most sacks for a Raiders player in the history. He needs 2 sacks. Needs 2 sacks to break that record. I'm definitely going to be watching for it. Which free agents are out there playing and which free agents are out there playing their heart out? Which free agents are fighting through injuries? Like, I'll say this right now. I don't think you're ever going to see Josh Jacobs in another Raiders jersey for as long as you live. You've already seen it. It's not going to happen. He's not going to be back next season. Now, maybe Josh comes back when he's a veteran and on his last contract to retire a Raider or something like that. I mean, shit, he's got it tatted on him. But, like, which free agents? What is Bilal Nichols going to be looking like? What is a player like Amik Robertson going to be looking like? Are they going to bring back Isaiah Paulomeo? I want to see which players are given 100%, but I also want to see which free agents maybe this coaching staff is trying to evaluate. Next one is this. How is Aiden O'Connell looking? Aiden's not going to be your starting quarterback next season, and if he is, full meltdown mode for me. Aiden is a good backup QB, but I do want to see that he's making the right steps and getting better. AOC is going to be the backup QB for the Silver and Black next season, which I do think is an important role. But I also want to see for Antonio Pearson, potentially his final game as a head coach, because you got to give Aiden a little bit of credit. I've been tough on Aiden because when you're a quarterback where the Raiders are at, you got to be tough on him. But he has been getting a little bit better and making, over the past 3 weeks, he's done a much better job. 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. Next thing is this, man. How AP and PG coach. I want Antonio Pierce and Patrick Graham back next season. I really do. I think for what they've been able to do with this defense, man, the way that they're playing is a Super Bowl caliber defense. And I'm going to believe that defenses do win championships. And I want to see what AP does his final week. I want to see what Patrick Graham does his final week with this unit. And if they go out on a high where this defense looks the way that they did up against Kansas City, up against the way that they looked against the Chargers, the way that this defense has played basically the entire year with both PG and AP, it's going to give Mark Davis a hell of a decision. If this team loses and the defense plays bad, I'll be real with you, man. I think if they lose this football game against the Broncos, I don't think that they're coming back, which pains me because I think they should have got it after the Chiefs game. And then the last thing I want to see is which players/coaches get emotional. I think when you deal with a coach like Josh McDaniels and you deal with all the bullshit that McDaniels regime did to your locker room, it's toxic. But when you can rally together as a group, like to me, there's a lot of unbelievably talented players in the NFL. But what I really think is missing is, people always used to throw out there the Patriot way, Patriot way, Patriot way. And I never wanted to build the Patriot way because you never had Tom Brady. But what I do want to build is a locker room. And if you ever listen to Teddy Bruschi talk about the Patriot way, I actually think that's the way that it should have gone, where it was more of a brotherhood. It was more of a family. And to me, I want to see what players are out there playing for each other. I want to see what players are out there playing for AP, players that are out there playing for PG, because those are the guys that I want back. The only way that the Raiders are going to get back to the Al Davis days, to the commitment to excellence days, the only way you can get true commitment to excellence is when you can commit to each other. And I want to know what players are committing to excellence to each other. That's what I'm going to be watching for in this Week 18 game for the Raiders up against the Broncos. Coming up next here, though, Raiders Week 18 rooting guide. And this rooting guide is going to be a little bit different from what we have typically done on this show, because typically we look at it from a Raiders being able to make the playoff standpoint. But this is a Week 18 rooting guide on win or lose, how the Raiders can get a better draft pick in 2024 to hopefully land that franchise QB. Before I get into that, though, today's show is presented by Panda Sups. And if you haven't gotten started with Panda Sups yet, hey, now's your time to do it because I am so excited for what they have just launched. And if anybody out there is trying to control their salt intake, sodium intake, I need you to listen up right now. So introducing Panda Sup's premium season prep is partnership with Jeffrey Harris, who has over 1 million Instagram followers. Elevate your prep game to a whole new level. Join the Panda family in embracing a healthier, tastier lifestyle with Panda supplements and Jeffrey Harris's premium prep seasonings. Specially crafted to tantalize your taste buds, these seasonings boast an impressive 0-calorie count per 710 milligram serving, ensuring guilt-free enjoyment with every sprinkle. Each serving contains under 100 milligrams of sodium, making it a smart choice for those mindful of their salt intake. Crafted with care using real high-quality ingredients, including a delightful blend of salt, honey, paprika, garlic, onion, pepper, parsley, and more. Our seasonings guarantee an explosion of flavor in every bite. Whether you opt for something sweet like cinnamon honey butter, the classic appeal of urban butter, the earthy essence of roasted veggies, the spicy kick of Taco Tuesday, the fiery heat of Texas heat, or the harmonious blend of Hefe Special, there's a flavor for every palate. Evaluate your culinary creations and make truly unforgettable flavor experience with prep premium seasonings from Panda Sup. So as you can see, 0 calories. And if anybody wants to save a little bit of money, use code Raiders at pandasups.com, 20% off. That link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. All right, so coming up here is our Raiders Week 18 rooting guide. And I wanted to do this because I really do believe if the Raiders win, man, I'm going to be celebrating, I'm going to be partying, I'm going to be riding the high going into 2024. If the Raiders lose on game day, it's going to suck because I never want the Raiders to lose. I never show up to this job ever wanting the Raiders to lose a football game. It simply will not happen. However, though, if the Raiders do end up losing, I will be able to go to bed easier that night knowing we might be one step closer to being able to go out and getting our franchise quarterback. So as it stands right now, here is the current 2024 NFL draft order. And some of y'all probably don't care about 1 through 8. However, I do think you should because there are a lot of NFL teams before the Raiders right now that could potentially go out and draft one of those top quarterbacks like I mentioned. But the Raiders, as it stands right now, are at pick 11. And when you consider the fact of how far they could potentially drop in the 2024 NFL draft, like they can drop pretty far from where they have the ability to be able to go out and get a quarterback. Now, I'll show you 17 through 24, and a lot of these teams are vying for a playoff spot. But here's the thing, man. This week in the NFL, Week 18, the reason why I will never do a fantasy football league in Week 18 is because a lot of starters are sitting. And there's a lot of games out there that if it was a normal football game, there's no way that I'd have any hope in some of these teams I'm going to hope for. However, I mean, there's a lot of games that they're rolling with backup QBs. They're not going to roll with their starters. Patrick Mahomes, shit, he's sitting himself. So the Raiders Week 18 rooting guy, and what I really try to do here is condense it to 4 games. And these are the 4 most important games for the Raiders this season. And the team logos indicate, what did I say, season this week. The team logos indicate who to root for. So Jets at Patriots, you should root for the Jets. Falcons at Saints, you should root for Atlanta, especially if you don't want Derek Carr to make the playoffs. Bears at Packers, Chicago is the team to root for. Vikings at Lions is probably the least important out of that group, but you should root for Minnesota to beat the Detroit Lions. And the reason is this. If the Raiders lose to the Denver Broncos and the Jets, Falcons, and Bears win, the Raiders would end up at the number 8 pick, which then puts you in position to draft a Caleb Williams, a Drake May, or Jaden Daniels, the top 3 quarterbacks in this year's class. And honestly, Bo Nix, not even close. Michael Penix Jr., not even close. And then J.J. McCarthy, not even close to those other 3 guys. I mean, it's such a clear tier break for me. It's why there's a part of me where I'm like, if they lose, I won't be upset. I'll be mad that game day. But if I have a chance to get one of those 3 quarterbacks and change this franchise, I'm okay with it for the long term. However, though, if the Raiders do win this football game against Denver, which I expect them to win because they own Denver. However, if New Orleans, Minnesota, if they lose, then the Raiders would end up picking at 14 or 15. And actually, I think I got that wrong. If the Raiders beat Denver and the Saints in Minnesota, I think win is what that's supposed to say. No, it's supposed to say if they lose. Then the Raiders would pick 14 or 15. I got it right. Got it right the first time. So here's the thing. Like, the Raiders could either pick at number 8, or they could fall all the way down to pick 14 or 15. And the reason why it's 14 or 15 is because I don't have the exact mathematical equation of what the strength of schedule has been for the Raiders after Week 18, because that's going to change once the win-losses come in. So you have a chance to pick at 8 or 14 or 15. If the Raiders are at 14 or 15, kiss Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels goodbye. Unless the Raiders are willing to trade a player like Davante Adams. I don't think they'll ever trade Max Crosby. But, like, here's the hard part of the realization, right? If you're at 14 or 15 and you want one of those top 3 guys, it's going to take a Davante Adams. It's going to take a Max Crosby to get up for a chance to get one of those 3 players. So, if you want the Raiders to draft Caleb Williams, Drake May, or Jaden Daniels, then honestly, you probably want the Raiders to lose this week to the Denver Broncos. Now, we're going to be pumping out a lot of content in the offseason. I put out a lot of stuff on social media, Twitter, Instagram. Y'all can find me at Mitchell Renz 365, and I hope that when you see my content on social media, you also take time out of your day to interact with people on Twitter, interact with people on IG. Spread the love. The Raiders Report has been able to grow here on YouTube because, man, we've been able to create a beautiful, beautiful family on YouTube. Let's continue to grow that family on social media. All right, Chugs, $20 to get in, 50-50 raffle. I got to go change my jersey for the last time. I got to go put on OC Raider. And then we're going to stay live here for a little bit. Let's get a little bit rowdy here on the Raiders Report.
Shout out to Charlie, 9-year-old, living in Queensland, Australia. G'day, mate. It's his birthday. Shout out to you. He said he's a massive Raiders fan. Cheers, Jono. Hope you have a great birthday. Charlie, thank you for watching the show. You and Johnny Thrill. Maybe your dad, Johnny Thrill. But either way, happy birthday. Have a good one. Let's go. Rebel said Marshall home? No, Marshall's off today, actually. Marshall is home. Marshall did, in fact, go home. So, he is not here today. Last chance as well to get in on this 50-50 raffle. And if you have any questions, super chat, get them in while you can. I can answer a couple of the hashtag Raiders questions, actually, while we're waiting on Mitch. Oh, my goodness. Jay Raider, if AOC doesn't improve, he shall henceforth be referred to only as AODC. ACDC. Love that. Robert Jansen, what if Alt and Harrison go 2 and 3, and 2 of the top quarterbacks are there at 4 and 5? Adams and 8 for the 4 pick? I mean, that's a possibility. I don't see that happening, Robert, only for one reason. I think those teams would rather trade back. I don't think there's a couple good tackles in this draft. If you're drafting at 2 or 3, I think you would rather trade back and have maybe a bidding war between the Raiders and another team looking for a quarterback rather than just take Alt at 3. Because you can still trade back, get a tackle at maybe 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 and get draft capital in the future rather than just take them at 2 or 3. Harrison Jr., maybe with the Cardinals if they really, really like him and want to pair him with Kyler Murray. But Joe Alt, like a tackle, I don't see that happening. I see quarterback going 1 and 2 because you have teams like the Giants who are still trying to get a quarterback. There's other teams in that top 8. I don't see that happening. I mean, just in the top 8 alone, have the Jets possibly trying to get another quarterback. The Patriots are right there. The Commanders are right there, all wanting a quarterback. The Falcons as well. The Saints could be looking to upgrade at a quarterback. We know about the Broncos. Could they be trying to lose this game to try to get down, to try to then trade up to get a quarterback? I mean, the Vikings, if they don't re-sign Kirk Cousins, there's a lot of quarterback-needy teams in a quarterback-heavy draft. I just don't see that happening, Robert. Let's see. Let's look for some more questions. Not a question, but Alpha One said we can't get Daniels. We have to go after Penix. Penix. I don't know. I would not trade up for Penix, but if he falls to you in the first round, I would not be mad. Mitch said he would be mad if they traded or if they drafted Penix in the first round. If you stay there and don't have to give up any draft capital, I wouldn't be mad, personally. But that's just me. Almighty Oakland, perfect trade-up scenario. I mean, it would be the one that Robert kind of laid out as if quarterbacks don't go 1, 2, and 3. If there's a Marvin Harrison and another player that go in the top 3, then that is amazing.
We are back. OC Raider. Shout out to Mount Raider More legend. Wild One says, are we still live for once? Wild One, we are still live, my brother. Now, here's the thing. Earlier on today's show, OC Raider banged.
I feel like we're always live.
I'll say, I will admit, I feel like we're live a lot of the times. In fact, we're live 4 days a week. Oh, man. And then, yeah, I mean, you might as well put the new one up there as well. This one's rolling in from OC Raider. Bang! Damn, Mitch. Looking good. Is it the number? Is it the name? Bang, Raiders. Just cushioning my lead. Drink up. I mean, here's my thing to you then, OC. You're one away from a gong rip. One away from a gong rip, OC. Is he going to do it? One away from a gong rip. Here's what I'm going to do. And I'll tell you this right now. Alex just texted me and she goes, "You're drunk." Which you're not wrong, babe. You're probably not wrong in that. Robert Jansen says gong and a boot. I don't know if I got a boot would be tough right now. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I was gonna say one more and it's a boot.
One more, it's a boot. You got a boot in you? You got a boot in you.
Looks like we have a Chiefs fan in here somewhere.
I can't believe. I mean, there's a Chiefs fan in here. A Chiefs fan after losing to us on Christmas. Get out of here, bro. Get out of here, bro. A Chiefs fan after getting your ass whooped by the silver and black. The number one Chiefs fan. One out of, honestly, were you a Chiefs fan before Mahomes? The answer to that is probably no. Well, hang on. Well, sometimes shit happens. And when shit happens, C Raider! C Raider! Let's go! Spam OC Raider, which, bro, I'm not kidding you right now. This comment alone is hilarious to me. You had me at well, OC. You had me at well, OC. So, here's my deal, OC. We're going to pour up a boot here, okay? Which is what it is, right? I know you've been a little sicky poo. No way.
Yeah.
No way. It's all good. It's all good. OC. Nah, I can't do that. I was going to say double or nothing. No, there's no way. I was say what I do want, though, because he hit the gong, I want a duck race OC Raider right now. I want a duck race. OC, this duck race means absolutely nothing. If you win, it's strictly bragging rights. I am 1-1 today.
How about this? Since he's hit the gong, spent 500 today, if he wins, you start off our Monday live with a beer bong.
Ooh. Monday live with a beer bong. Okay, yeah, not a Raiders game day. OC, I'll make that deal. If you win this race, I got to start Monday's live show off with a beer bong. Den.
Deal?
Deal.
He said, let's go.
He said, let's go. Also, I think because OC did that, I really want other people. I was really hoping for more duck races today. So here's what the deal's going to be, okay? The deal's going to be this. If you want a duck race, we still have another Venmo duck race against me. $20 Venmo to duck race me. $50 for a chance for me to do a beer bong. Me against OC Raider in a 30-second duck race. For the record, today, I am 1-1. I am 1-1. I got the dub earlier today against Willie Pfister. And then Brian Folsom beat me. So I'm either going to go 1-2 or 2-1. Who you got? Type OC for OC. Or you could type M for Mitch. Let me know who you got. Chugs, I want to do this boot before this race. So if you could give a few shout-outs here, that would be much appreciated.
Sienna, El Surge Low, Taino.
We got pineapple, wild cherry, and pineapple. My next ones that I have are lemon lime, pineapple, and then one of my favorites, the Death Row Records one. Here's the thing. I'll tell you after. Let me do this.
Ron Raspberry, Jan Scheffler. Brandon Jasper. Let's see. Robert Jansen, whichever winner makes Mitch drink more. Sienna, what is Mitch drinking? Sounds good. It's called a Happy Dad.
So Happy Dad, they make a bunch of different. They also do Happy Moms. Spoiler alert, I'm going to try to drink some Happy Moms on January 7th. It's my mom's birthday. Oh, boy. Happy Dad. It is look it up. It's gluten-free, 5% alcohol. The reason why I love them is because, obviously, when you do as much drinking as what we do on the show sometimes, there's a lot of electrolytes. But to be honest with you, the most important thing is the less carbonation. So, like, when you don't have as much carbonation going on, it's a game changer. Jaron Meister asked Nelk to sponsor you. I actually know one of the Nelk boys pretty well. Actually, I made the connection through Alex, my fiance, and they won't sponsor. They don't. I mean, just to be honest with you, they don't want to sponsor anybody right now. They don't want to do it. So I've tried though. Believe me when I tell you that. They're like, honest to God, why am I going to sponsor if people are buying? So I respect it. I've tried though. It's like a seltzer, yeah. However, less carbonation and electrolytes. Like for anybody out there that's honestly planning on like a bachelor party or like you just know, like you're like, man, me and my guys, we're going to tie one on today. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like you're like, we're about to tie one on. Raiders Report style. Somebody said try high noons. I love high noons. Love them. However, I could probably do 8 high noons compared to 12 Happy Dads. I could probably even do more happy dads. All right, here we go. OC Raider against me. Who you got? Type OC. I'll tell you what, this is neck and neck, but what does OC have in his hand? Is that a flower? I think he's the Statue of Liberty.
What does the Statue of Liberty hold?
A torch. Al Davis torch. I'll tell you what, my money's on OC. In fact, I don't even know if I'm in this race anymore. What a comeback. Never a doubt. Never a doubt. 2-1. 2-1. Let's go. I'm telling you. 2-1. Never a doubt. Slurricane says, Mitch on the comeback. Oh, you know it. You know it. On the comeback. Let's freaking go, man. All right, y'all. We got 500 people here watching. Shout out to today's MVP, OC Raider. Let's show them one more time, the Bang Race leaderboard. And also, for those that don't know what the Bang Race leaderboard is, this month in January, whoever bangs the most. So when you hear me scream their name and I bang, we're going to keep a leaderboard this month. Whoever is the winner of this month's leaderboard, you get yourself a Raiders Report jersey. And the Raiders Report jersey is something that I've never done before, but I know that 24 is a special number for the nation out there. So if you could show them the January jersey that we're going to be giving away for every month this season, every single month this year, 2024, we're going to give away a jersey just like this. So whoever bangs the most, you're going to get a Jan Bang MVP jersey signed by Jeremy and I. So we're going to order it to us. We'll obviously get it in your size. Chugs will sign it. I'll sign it. And then we're going to send it to you. And all I hope is that you wear the jersey. Like, don't get me wrong. If you want to put it in your man cave, cool. It's a huge. We appreciate the hell out of that. But I want people to wear these jerseys, you know, like to a Raiders game or to a tailgate, to an event, and they're like, oh, shit, that's OC Raider. He was the MVP in January. Like, I think like that's one of the ways that this show can continue to grow. So I would greatly appreciate it. Kobe says, how many people are in the 50-50 raffle? Right now, as it stands, there are Stuart, Luis, Scott, Eckert again, and then Stuart Viator. All right, Stuart, here's my question to you. You know what? I'm going to put Stuart in, Jeremy, but Stuart sent in a 50. Stuart, you got to be watching still. OC said if I win and we meet at the Vegas Stadium, we have to do a boot together deal. Can we do a boot at the stadium? I don't know how we do it. You can't though. You can't bring glass in. I've tried. I've tried to bring in a boot to the Raider Image store for this exact thing. They won't allow it. So OC, if we meet up in Vegas, it's got to be not at the stadium. I'm that asshole that tries to bring a boot to Allegiant Stadium. They won't allow it. So, Stuart, send in a 50. So here's what we're going to do, Stuart. I don't know if you're here still in the parking lot. I can't go to tailgates, though, y'all. Like, because Chugs and I, we do watch parties here. I can never be, unless somebody's willing to pay for Chugs and I to be out at a tailgate, my company will never allow me to do it. Stuart says I'm here. So, Stuart, here's my offer to you. Do you want to do this duck race for a chance to win a beer bong, or do you want, I'm going to give you 2 entries and for a chance to win some money? What do you want? Or, Stuart, better deal. I'll give you 1 entry, and if you send in another 20, we'll do this. He wants the race? Let's do it. I'm 2-1 on the night. We got Spider-Man, and I'm so happy I'm the dinosaur. Here's the thing, though. That's not an arm. This thing right here, it's not an arm. I'm just telling you right ahead. It's not an arm. Stuart, I love where I'm at right now. I feel confident in my racing ability. that we're about to take down. I mean, it's the exact same race last time. Stewart doesn't got a chance. Come on, Mitch. Come on, Mitch. 3 and 1. 3 and 1. Who's going to take me down? Who's going to take me down? $50 Super Chat or Venmo for a chance to race me one-on-one. If you beat me, I do a beer bong. If not, it's an L. OC said it's fixed. 3 and 1, baby. 3 and 1. 3 and 1. You ain't taking me down. You ain't taking me down. All right, y'all. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a quick 50-50 raffle race here. And then if anybody else wants to challenge me, you can go ahead and do so. You can go ahead and do so. Stewart. Oh, man. Stewart said if I send in another 50 for a beer bong. Stewart, because you're a good sport, sure. You send in a 50, Stewart. Here's the thing, though. I want to race again, and win or lose, here's my deal to you, Stewart. If I win that race and I go 4 and 1, you got to do a beer bong no matter what. If I win that, you got to do a beer bong with me. Okay. All right, so say that.
So if you send another 50, Mitch will do a beer bong regardless, but you'll be playing for another spot in the 50-50 raffle.
Okay.
So if you win, it's a beer bong and you get your spot in the raffle. If Mitch wins, it's just a beer bong.
Oh, tits. All right, let's do it. He's in. 50 Venmo from Stewart. It just came in. All right, Stewart. All right, Chugs, one more time. We got a leopard. Can you shuffle it? Because we got a few people that want to shuffle. All right, I like this. This one's made for Seeps. This is a Vikings race. Mitch, Stewart, let me know who you got. Type M for Mitch, S for Stewart. What's the deal? One more time.
If Stewart wins, he also gets an entry. If Mitch wins, it's just a beer bong.
I'm going to 4 and 1. Oh, I love where I'm at. I love where I'm at right now, Chugs. Stewart's starting to run out of gas a little bit. Oh, look at this. This is blowout. Blowout. W. 4 and 1. 4 and 1. You can't take me down. You can't take me down. I am red hot right now. Red hot right now. Jeremy, not even. This isn't even for a beer bong. I am going to do a beer bong now for Stewart. However, though, if you want to race me and you're going to challenge me for a beer bong, I'm red hot right now. $50 Super Chat or Venmo. 4 and 1. 4 and 1. Who wants to go to Vegas right now? I'm hot. I am hot.
Breaking news, possibly on Michigan. Kansas State quarterback Will Howard says that he is going to Ohio State.
Wow. Oh, wow. Let's go, Brett. Also, you called it earlier today. Dalvin Cook to the Ravens. Called it today. Salute to you. All right, I owe this one for Stewart. Here we go. Ah. 4 and 1. Ah, tits. Chef, the only way. Dude. Chef, here's my deal to you. You can either. That's a lot. Chef, I'll say this. Either you're going to send in a $300 Super Chat. Or Chef, because you're an OG here, I'll give you a $200 Venmo for a boot. And if I do that, that's going to be the last thing I do on today's show because I'm not in a good spot right now. Also, Isidro, you in. Isidro, you in. If anybody out there wants to race me right now and you also want a shot to win some money, we could do a few deals. All right, Chugs, how about this? Let's do this race real quick. Since the MVP OC Raider, Chef, you're not gonna ruin it. It's I'm just being honest with y'all. Like I don't got much left in me, and I'm just gonna be honest before you send it. I have to go by 6 o'clock. I told Alex today that I'd be home or I'd be done doing the show by 6. I told her I would try to be home by 7. Like I leave for work at probably 8:30 in the morning, and I told her I'd try to be home by 7. So as soon as this show ends, Jeremy and I got to do a lot of other stuff we got to do. So if you can do it now, or save it for game day, or save it for Monday. We're going to be live on Monday as well. King says, Mitch, can I race you? Of course. Anybody can race me. Okay, Jeremy, I'm going to send you our list. So right now, $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365 gets you in a duck race, which right now, as it stands, you would win $180. You would win $180. I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of rooting for OC here. Raw Sports, Mitch, what's the vibe, my boy? Probably should ask my vibrator. However, I'm a little bit loosey-goosey right now. I'm not going to lie to y'all. OC, I'm rooting for you, bro. I'm telling you right now. I'm rooting for OC. What's up, Damien? What's up, Robert Jansen? Brandon Jasper, I see all of y'all. You know, we get a little bit crazy on this show because I say it to people all the time. I don't view this as a YouTube channel. I view it as like, man, we've created something beautiful on here, and sometimes you get a little bit wet and wild with your family, especially when it comes to a duck race. Winner of this duck race here, you're going to go home with $180. I'm rooting for OC. Jeremy, 3, 2, 1. Good luck to everyone. As Peter said, winner gets $180 and out to an early start. Yeah, I think that you purposely made me that duck. Purposely. Salvador Mena out to an early lead right now. Stuart Visitor in a very interesting spot. You got a beer bong in you? It looks like you got one on your chest. Salvador with the lead right now. Watch out for Allen. Petey, you got a beer bong in you. Michael Allen, look out for the green. The green, 20 seconds to go. I believe that's Anthony. Oh, man, Martinez falling back. Adam White falling back. Watch out for this little duck right here in Mitchell Renz. Salvador Mena, Adam White, head-to-head, 9 seconds to go. Winner gets $180. Who's it going to be? Stewart! I'm not going to lie, good for Stewart. Good for frickin' Stewart. Stewart, you took the L against me head-to-head, but you got to win here. You got to win here, Stewart. Quack, quack. Congrats. Stewart, can you please confirm down below in the chat that you just received $180? Stewart, congratulations, man. Wild one. I wanted to say drink after that video about Wilson, but what you said makes sense, and anyone who can't see that is fooling themselves. No, you're right. I mean, the video that I dropped this morning, I literally said to everybody that, hey, I get it. I don't like Russell Wilson. He's a cornball. He's the opposite of what a Raider mentality is. However, you do have to go back to what the Raiders' original mentality was, which is just win, baby. Commitment to excellence, right? Like, and if you have the opportunity to get Russell Wilson on a $1.21 million contract, plus you screw over the Denver Broncos in doing so, you at least have to entertain the idea. Because what I don't like, and this is me being real with y'all, I don't like the idea of people saying, no, I don't want Russell Wilson right off the bat. I don't want Russell Wilson. If you told me I got to pay Russell Wilson money, I ain't doing it. I don't want to do that. All I ask for people out there is watch the video that I dropped this morning on Russell Wilson. And I think you're going to agree with Wild One where, like he has said, I wanted to say drink after that video. Dude, I wanted to say drink after that video. But I think the important part of building a really good franchise is, it's part of the responsibility of being a host here where I know, like, we're able to reach a lot of people. And I give my honest opinion. And I don't like Russell Wilson, which I think a lot of people, y'all know that. But if you can get a quarterback like Russ at $1.21 million, you got to think about it, no? You got to think about it, man. Stewart, receive. We'll send it back to you for a bang. I mean, Stewart, here's what I want you to do. I want you to keep some of it. If you want me to do one more bang, Stewart, here's how I want to end the show, okay? Stewart, if you send back, okay, you send in right now $100 Venmo. $100 Venmo. Put in a race for me and you. Mano-y-mano again. Okay? No matter what, I will do a beer bong. No matter what. However, Stewart, all I ask is this. That if you lose, and I'm going to trust you, that you got to do a beer bong. Deal? Deal? I hope so. David, hey Mitch. Over the past year, you have let us know how much you dislike Zeus. If you were head coach, what would you trade him for? Right now, I wouldn't trade him. I mean, don't get me wrong, I shouldn't say that. If a team's willing to offer me a 4th-round pick for Zamir White, I trade Zamir White. You're able to get your pick back. You're essentially able to get your exact value. I mean, that's like buying a car in 2022 and getting the exact same value for it in 2024. Like, I would take that value. But the reason why you're kind of iffy right now taking a trade for Zamir White is because you don't know the future of Josh Jacobs. Like, I know Brandon Bolden ain't coming back. I would like for the Raiders to give Sincere McCormick a little bit more work. I'd like to see what he's able to do. And I know if Sincere McCormick got a single carry in Week 18, I'm pretty sure Graphic Raider puts a hole through his table, if you know what I'm talking about. But I do think, I think Zamir is one of those backs that has proved me wrong, where I have not been a fan of Zamir. But I do think you have to be able to respect the fact that over the past 3 weeks, 59 carries, 1 touchdown, I'm going to say 285 yards off the top of my head. Like, he's been better the more and more carries that he has gotten, which sometimes certain backs are like that. I mean, it's like anything in life. Like, you just got to get hot, right? You ride with the hot hand. I want Zamir to be back on this team in a limited role. I don't want him to be the main featured back. I do think that the Raiders should bring in another running back in this year's draft class to be able to pair with Zamir as a 1-2 type of hit. But if you tell me right now I can get a 4th-round pick for Zamir White, I would take it. I would. I think the running back position is the easiest position to be able to replace in the NFL. And, Zamir is replaceable. Running backs are very, very replaceable. You know who's not replaceable? Stewart! Viator! Bang! Oh, Stewart. You know what I think of with this name? We once in a while do like the joke on this show. You know what I'm talking about? From Mad TV. Stewart. Stewart. What up, Stewart? Let's go. You and me. Mano-y-mano. I don't know what I'm wearing. That is a nightmare of an outfit. Also, again, is that covering a nipple? Looks like it's covering a nipple. Who you got? M for Mitch. S for Stewart. Stewart's got the lead, but here's the thing, Stewart. I got you. Watch this. Watch this right here. Another win. 5-1. You can't stop me. I'm red hot right now. I am red hot right now. 5-1. 5-1. Stewart, you better do a beer bong at home. I'm red hot right now. 5-1. Nobody's going to take me down. Nobody is going to take me down. Raiders Laker fan, Mitch should have hired you as the next head coach. No, I disagree with that. I don't want to be the next head coach. General manager, though, I'm in. I'm freaking in, man. I'll tell you what, I'm red hot, 5-1. 5-1 today. Can't take me down. You know what's going to happen next week when we do this? I'm going to go 1-5, and I'm going to be lit as a mother effer. I'd put my undefeated stake against you, but I don't have the 50. Hey, it's all good. Hey, at the end of the day, man, I had a hell of a time today. I appreciate each and every one of y'all for always pulling up here on the stream, and oh my goodness. John Scheffler. Bang! I'm just going to drop this right here. I don't want nothing for it because you're a real one and you've been drinking all day. Chef, I appreciate that. Spam Chef down below. Here's how I do. Hey, let's do one more race. Me and Chef. Nothing win. Nothing's going to. I'm not drinking a beer bong because Chef said I don't got to do it. But shout out to John Scheffler. We're going to do one more race today. One more. And I'm going to go 6-1. I can feel it. I can feel it. Who you got? S for Scheffler, M for Mitch. Who you got? I'll tell you what, for any of y'all been doubting me today, do you like the Will Howard move? I actually don't think it's a very good quarterback. I think it's one of the worst quarterbacks that Ohio State's had in a while. I really do. Definitely not. He's better than the guy they had this past year, though. Can't remember his name. Yeah. Oh, man. All right, here we go. Shout out to Juan. Shout out to Dashi, King, Dylan, Darth, Yoda. 3, 2, 1. Let's get it going. Scheffler, Mitch, who you got? I think I'm Captain Hook. I hope that's a hook. And then Scheffler over there looking all sorts of doctor-ish. Doctor-ishy. Quarterbacky. Chef right now's got the lead, but Jeremy, I'm good, bro. I like where I'm at. Oh, wait, Chef! Chef's turning it on a little bit! Oh, no! Scheffler with the win! Oh, shit. I loved where I was at, but Scheffler said, not so fast, sweetheart. Give me that win. All right, 5-2. It's not bad. 5-2 is not bad. It's not bad. All right. Chef got me. All right, y'all. I hate to do this to you, but I do got to get on out of here. And, you know, just like I said, Jim Harbaugh to the Raiders, there's a chance that might happen because his wife has really, really been pushing for him to join Las Vegas. I'd like to get married next year, and if the only way that's going to happen is if I end this show before 6 o'clock. So make sure you guys join us when we go live on Sunday. And we go live on Sunday for a little Raiders-Broncos action. The giveaway I have for this week is probably one of the coolest giveaways that I've ever done. Also on Monday, Jeremy Chugs and I, we're going to be live for Michigan-Washington. Make sure you're tuned in for that. So from me, shout out to today's MVP, OC Raider, Jeremy Chugs, all of the nation. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Have a hell of a weekend. Have a hell of a night. Peace out. Go Raiders.